Good evening, students. Welcome to the live virtual classes conducted by Board of Studies Academics. Once again, we are here to welcome you for the chapter 18 Sustainable Development Goals SDG and Environmental, Social and Governance ESG Assurance. And this we have commenced this chapter we have started on 15 December means Monday's class, and we'll be continuing with the same, and today we'll complete it not only the concept wise, we will also practice case scenario based and MCQ questions, descriptive questions also. And I hope you have completed the homework which was given by Venugopal sir on Monday for downloading the BRSR reporting, right, from the site. And please go through the same and interlink it with what you have understood while reading the theory. So I hope you have completed the homework, because it might take some time, but you will feel that your concepts are very much clear now, right? So whatever homework is being given, you have to complete, because it's for you only. And now we are moving towards end of the curriculum, like only one chapter is remaining, and in the next week we will be completing our chapter 17, and the whole course will be completed by that. Okay, so I hope if you have downloaded, if you have any doubt, please feel free to ask. And regarding writing in the examination, also if you have any doubt, you can ask. I'll again interact with you all at the end of the session. Okay, so not taking much of the time. Over to you, Venugopal sir. Please complete the journey of this topic, right,
Sure,
which
ma'am.
we
Sure.
have started on Monday. Yeah, over to you, sir.
Yeah. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, students. So, ma'am was already instructed or inquired about the homework. So, hope you have done the homework. So, before going to have a discussion on all the 9 principles of BRSR, we will just spend 2 to 3 minutes time what we have covered in the last class. A quick revision, we will do it. So, in the last class, we started chapter 18 and we saw the aerial view or overview of the entire chapter, how we can able to recall. So the chapter is Sustainable Development Goals and ESG Assurance. So we have seen the definition of sustainability. We have seen the definition of sustainable development and sustainable development goals. Thereafter, we have seen sustainable reporting and benefits of sustainable reporting, right? And then we move to what is happening around the globe. So global trends we have seen. Then we move to US, specifically to US, and then specifically to UK. Then we come back to India. So in India, what is the role ICAI is playing with regard to ESG and with regard to SDG we have seen. Then we discussed pillars of sustainability, which is nothing but the ESG, environment, social and governance. Thereafter, we have also touched upon the meaning of ESG, elements of ESG, ESG reporting, slight change in definition when you compare with sustainability reporting definition and when you compare with ESG reporting, there is a slight difference, but we should recall that as well. Then we have also seen evolution of ESG in India. So when it got started for top listed 100 listed entities, when it made mandated, and then moving to integrated reporting, then 500 listed entities, then 1000 listed entities, BRSR was mandated, right? So this is all we have seen. So we'll quickly run through the slides as well. Sustainability, we have seen sustainability, right? We have seen development, sustainable development goals, these 17 SDGs. We will be interlinking these SDGs with BRSR today. So for each BRSR, how many SDGs are interlinked, that probably you will be already done in the homework. We will also cover this today. So all the 17 SDGs are also equally important when we are discussing with 9 principles of BRSR. So sustainability reporting, whether it is positive or negative, you need to report it. Correct? But people, the moment, otherwise, a practitioner may give a qualified opinion on the instances which company has reported negatively, right? So benefits, as we discussed, that more and more investors are keen towards companies who are following sustainability. So companies also move towards producing sustainable products, doing operations sustainably, right? So on and so forth. So global trends we have discussed. We had detailed discussion on so how it got culminated from multiple standards to a global unique uniform standards which was developed by IFRS sustainability through ISSB board. So integrated reporting, we have seen 6 capitals. We also understood there could be an overlap between social capital and human capital, but we know what is the difference between social capital and human capital. Global scenarios, as I told you, we saw US, then we saw UK, then we move to ICAI role, right? ICAI also gives awards in consultation or in coordination with SEBI. They give awards and they also have a certification courses for qualified CAs. Members who are CAs, post qualification courses were also there. So, like continuous professional education. So, three pillars we have seen: what is environment, what it covers in social and governance. Elements of ESG we have seen. So, what is ESG reporting, right? And ESG reporting can be done both in qualitative as well as in quantitative information. So, which is preferable? A mixed approach is preferable. A mixed approach where you involve both qualitative and quantitative is recommended. So evolution of ESG we have seen, right? So now we'll come to today's topic, which is BRSR. So BRSR has 3 sections. Section A is all talks about the general disclosures, which talks about the name of the company, SIN number of the company, where it is registered, what products it deals with, what operations it does, how many employees were working, holding companies, subsidiary companies, associate companies of the company which you are reporting, BRSR, is discussed in section A. Then section B is talking about, so you have 9 principles. So whether company has policies with regard to these 9 principles or not, so whether committees developed or not, whether periodic review of principles and policies are happening or not, that you will discuss in section B. Then section C is all about 9 principles in detail, and indicators were also been given for each principle. So there are 2 types of indicators: essential indicators and leadership indicators. So essential indicators are mandatory in nature. The moment BRSR is applicable, you have to report essential indicators. But today, leadership indicators is optional for the companies where BRSR is applicable. The leadership indicators are optional. But most of the companies, they are disclosing both essential as well as leadership indicators. Example, we have seen HUL. We can also download other 4-5 companies like Reliance, top 1000 listed entities in India. Most of the companies, they are giving both essential indicators as well as leadership indicators. So we'll see section A. So section A consists of 24 questions. All this is, it's a similar to your CARO reporting, where you have 140 questions to answer in this BRSR. So section A is 24 questions. Section B consists of 12 questions. Section C has 9 principles. For each principle, there are essential indicators, leadership indicators, 98 essential indicators, and 62 essential indicators, 42 leadership indicators. So which is coming to 104 total indicators we need to report in section C. So all put together, there are 140 questions top 1000 listed entities have to answer. So let us see what is section A. So before going to how company reports, Hope you can see the screen, PDF screen, which says business responsibility and sustainability reporting format.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is the annexure which was from SEBI itself. So SEBI has given this annexure. So section A, it disclose of 24 questions, right? So first you discuss about what is the details of listed entity. So you talk about SIN number, name of the entity, year of incorporation, register office, corporate address, email ID, telephone, website, right? For which year you are talking about this BRSR, name of the stock exchange. So BSE, NSE, right? So which stock exchange you have been listed, paid up capital of the company, name and contact details in case of someone wants to discuss about this specific BRSR report. Who is the person, go-to person to discuss, what are their contact details, email ID, that also has to be given, and reporting boundaries. So whether as a standalone entity we are reporting or consolidated entity where wholly owned subsidiaries are covered or other subsidiaries are covered, that also has to be. So we need to, 13th question is talking about the scope of BRSR. So what extent company has covered, whether they have covered all their Indian operations, foreign operations, whether they have covered only, let us talk about 4 subsidiaries, 5 subsidiaries, wholly owned subsidiaries, all subsidiaries, including JV, including associate companies. So that is reporting boundary. So thereafter you have, so what kind of business company is into? So 90% of the turnover has to be specified. So HUL being a conglomerate, right? It's a conglomerate. It's not like a simple, if you talk about Infosys, they are providing information technology services, right? If you talk about Reliance Communications, they are providing one set of services. But there are companies in top 1000 listed entities which are conglomerates, which they deal with multiple products, they deal with multiple services. So we need to mention what are the business activities they are into and what are the product services sold by the entity. So the total has to be minimum total 90% or more has to be shown here. So let us say one product or one business activity is contributing 40%, you will definitely show. Another is contributing 30%, you will definitely show, because 40 plus 30 is 70. Another is contributing 20%, right? So you got 90%. So thereafter it is contributing 5%, 2%, 1%. Probably you can ignore those. More than, if you cover more than 90, that is good enough. Rest of that you can ignore. So it's kind of ABC analysis. So even SEBI is telling you do ABC analysis. So you cover 90% of the turnover, you can answer. Rest 10% you can, if it includes multiple businesses, multiple products, you can keep it aside. No need to report. But significant portion is reported. 90% of the turnover is reported. 90% of the products, services is reported. You can, company, if they want to report 100%, yes, it is option given, but minimum 90% has to be reported. Then coming to operations. So number of locations where they have plants, where they have operations, where they have offices, where they have assembly units, where they have manufacturing units, how many within the country, how many outside the country has to be reported. So plants means where there is manufacturing or production is going on. Offices means your administrative offices, corporate offices, right? So market served by the entity, again, within the country, outside the country. So how many countries you are serving, how much you are exporting, how much you are making domestic sale. So which are the markets have been captured by the company? What is the contribution of exports as a percentage of total turnover of entity? A brief on types of customers. So types of customers, what comes to your mind? What comes to your mind? Types of customers. Will there be types of customers?
Yes, sir. Like retail customer or wholesale customers or
Yes. You have B2B customers, you have B2C customers, right? You have government customers.
yes,
So
and also
you also need to give a brief about types of customers, institutional
corporate
customers,
customer.
retailers, okay, general public, correct? So based on the company, based on the business, you also need to give a brief about the types of customers. So that is third section. Then it talks about employees. So you give details of employees, permanent as well as contract labor, other than permanent, right? You also have contract labor. Companies give employment on contract basis. So how many employees are on permanent? How many are other than permanent? That also you need to give. In addition to that, you also need to give gender segregation, which is male and female. And those who are working in offices, those who are working in manufacturing facilities. So employees and workers classification was also being given. And not only regular employees, differently abled employees and workers was also being given, and based on their gender as well as their permanent and contract nature was also has to be disclosed. And this is participation or inclusion representation of women in managerial status. So the people who are running the business, the people who are preparing strategies, the people on the top, so top management. So if you remember the pillar which you have discussed in strategic management in your intermediate, so there is top level, there is tactical, there is operational, right? So the top level, what is the representation of women? How many out of total board of directors, how many are female? Out of total KMP, how many are women? So that also has to be given. Turnover rate of permanent employees and workers. What do you mean by turnover? So let us say you have 100 employees working in your organization. So how many are left within a year? So how many were left and how many were newly joined? Let us talk about 5 employees left the organization in a year. So you say 5% is the turnover. So 5% employees are leaving the organization and new employees are joining. Why it is important? What it gives, if let us say you have 5% people leaving and you are recruiting new people, let us say you have 15%, let us say you have 50%. Does it give any meaning? Any guess?
No, sir, it's not meaning because it's giving a lot of training cost, all these things, accommodation. It's a cost. Actually, we incurred more on the employment. If the
See,
percentage is more means, then we are wasting our money.
You can think that way. So, but the real reason is that it may not be the right place of work, or it may not be the great place to work. So if more number of employees are leaving the organization on annual basis, let us say 50%, 60%, that means something with the organization is not correct. Their HR policies, their wage structure, their salary structures, the targets which they give, the way they treat employees. So out of all many factors, there are few factors which are not correctly working in the organization. So the more turnover means, that means it is not great place to work. There are so many things they need to change in order to reduce this turnover rate, right? And talking about service industry versus product industry. So product industry, product is the king. So you talk about Nestle, you talk about HUL, you talk about big companies like Reliance Petroleum, Bharat Petroleum, right? Or coal or steel, where the product is the king. So based on the product is the one thing which you are selling and you are getting the revenue. You talk about service sector where you have law firm, CA firm, IT services exclusively like Infosys. So where your services are important, services are generating revenue for you. So in service sector, the attrition rate or the turnover rate gives you more meaning, correct? Because employees are the one who is giving you output. Based the quality of employees gives you quality of services. Here also it will depend on quality of employees, but when you compare with product industry versus service industry, the person dependent, people dependent is huge. In case of product industries, people dependent is less. Correct? You understood? So if there are 4 employees who left the organization in product industry, if you get new employees, your product may not have that much impact. But in case of service industry, it's a huge gap. So turnover rate also gives so much meaning. Correct? So we also need to see how turnover is impacting. Then 5th section is your holding subsidiary relationship. So as a company, how many subsidiary companies you have, how many associate companies you have, how many joint ventures you have. So that list you need to give. So you are giving a group structure. So although you may give this in related party disclosures, in your financial statement disclosures, you are again replicating the same thing here. CSR details, most of the 1,000 listed companies are profit-making companies. So hence CSR is applicable. You also give turnover details, you also give network details, and transparency and disclosure details. So any complaints you have received on principles 1 to 9 under NGRBC, National Guidelines on Responsible Business Conduct. So each stakeholder committee wise, each stakeholder group wise. So just let us spare some time here. So stakeholder group. So who are stakeholders? We all know customers are stakeholders, employees are stakeholders, investors are stakeholders, shareholders are stakeholders, government is stakeholder, right? All the interested parties, users of financial statements, we call them as stakeholders. So stakeholders can form a group. All your debenture holders can form a group, correct? All your customers can form a group. All your suppliers can form a group. All your employees can form unions. So different stakeholders can form different groups. So whether they have issued any complaints, how many complaints were raised, how many complaints were pending, unresolved at the close of the year, and remarks you should give. Stakeholder group wise, you see communities, you see investors, you see shareholders, employees, customers, value chain partners. Let us talk about distributors, dealers. So there are thousands of distributors, dealers for big companies, right? So whether there is any group form, whether that group are raising any complaints, whether that has been taken care and resolved on time to time basis by the company. So all this is captured here. So much of data. See, BRSR is not very simple reporting. So if you go to ground level, how much of information you need? Just imagine how much of information you need to gather just to put some number here. Let us say you got 1,000 complaints. So how many complaints were there? Different districts, different regions, you got complaints. Now, how many are pending? So you need to capture for 1,000 complaints. Let us say number of complaints pending are 200. That means management would have resolved all 800 complaints during the year. So once management feels this, once we discuss BRSR, we will discuss about assurance of BRSR, assurance of ESG, ESG assurance, SDG assurance. How an auditor collects this information and verifies, yes, 1,000 complaints is complete. Let us say completeness of 1,000 also has to be ensured, all the assertions, right? So whether they have missed any complaints, whether actually the complaints are 1,200, but what they are reporting is 1,000. The complaint resolved is 750, but what they are mentioning is 800. So the accuracy has to be checked. The completeness has to be checked by the auditor. So whenever you see the data is getting filled in this, you need to play two parts here. You should act as, you should make a dual role. You need to think how management collects this information and puts the numbers here, and what all the steps auditor has to carry out in order to give assurance, give enhanced credibility to this report. So you need to think from two aspects. So how management is giving this information. So what kind of mechanism, procedure they need to follow in order to fill these numbers. Second, how auditor, what steps auditor has to perform in order to verify these numbers. So you need to play dual role in every question, right? So all 24 questions you need to think in two roles, one as management, second as auditor. Clear? 24th is material responsible business conduct issues. So have you seen any material responsible business conduct issues? So if you found any, you need to write that, and you need to write whether it is a risk or an opportunity. Whether it is a risk or opportunity. So you talk about ITC. You talk about any company which is based on agriculture, right? So you depend upon forest, depend upon agriculture. So monsoon plays an important role. So monsoon, the climate, whether it is a risk or an opportunity. So for India, monsoon, right? Monsoons are a risk. You never know what happens, right? When rains will come, when there is droughts in which regions, when there are floods, you never know. So the output or the input which company is taking is purely depend upon the climate. So you talk about HUL, you talk about ITC, they are purely depend upon monsoons. So monsoon is, the climate is a risk to these companies. Talk about software companies. What is biggest item for software companies? What is the biggest risk you think for software companies? So software companies, the talent, let us say
license, that intellectual asset, the software what they developed.
Yes, yes. So the intellectual property, right? The intellectual property and the talented resources. So today, let us say top 10 people who are very good in your company, where they are into developing and giving deliverables to clients. Those 10 people have been taken by, let us say, from Infosys to Wipro or Wipro to TCS. So if those 10 people leave the organization, you have a biggest risk. Or by Apple or by Google. So if those 10 people leave the organization, then it's a biggest risk. So what are those biggest risks? What is the greatest opportunity you have? So you need to write material issue identified and whether it is a risk or opportunity. And why do you think it's a risk or opportunity? And if it is a risk, how to mitigate that risk? No, you know that there is risk. You know there is monsoon is a risk. You know the fields lack the nutrient capacity. The soil is not having that much nutrient capacity. So what are the steps you are taking? How are you mitigating that risk? Do you have alternative fields? Do you have alternative farmers? Do you have alternative regions for in order to capture the input what you need to reach the targets you have, to reach the objectives you have? So if you don't have any plans, so you need to give that what are the steps as a company you are taking and what kind of financial implication that have on the company will also has to be discussed. So this is all about section A. So section A, we have seen SEBI. Now we will see a filled form of section A. So anyone wants any question where you need more clarity? 24 questions we have gone through. So we are again repeating these 24 questions in a practical case. We are taking one company. We are seeing how this form is filled by a listed company and what details they will fill, how it is filled, right? So we have seen the notification by SEBI. Now we are seeing the practical case. We are taking one company and we are seeing it. So we are doing revision also. So 24 we have seen once and we are seeing again. But we'll see it quickly. And if you get any doubts, please stop me and ask your doubts. So this is HUL section A. We'll go to section A. So all the companies for whom BRSR is applicable, you need to answer these 24 questions. So what they have done, you see here. You see, so out of 24 questions, they have taken key points. Out of 24, they have taken key points and they are mentioning here. So they have approximately, this symbol represents approximately 8,200 employees. 100 plus differently abled employees and workers are working. 18,450 workers are there. 1,600 women on shop floor. Right? So they have taken key factors and they are giving it here. Before you go and read section A, they have given you highlights of section A. So question number 1 to question number 15 all are self-explanatory. We have seen it. So 4 and 5 you see register office and corporate address is one and the same. So they merged it. Email, telephone number, website, financial year, they are reporting. Name of the stock exchange, they are listed BSE as well as NSE. Paid up capital is 235 crores. Name and contact details. If someone has any query, so they can reach out to their company secretary. Next, reporting boundary. Reporting boundary, they are telling disclosures under this report are made on a consolidated basis covering wholly owned subsidiaries. So not all subsidiaries, wholly owned subsidiaries are covered. Associates are not covered. Joint ventures are not covered. Only wholly owned subsidiaries are covered. So you are telling to the users that, see, this is the scope I am covering. And 14, name of the assessment or assurance provider. So BSR and Co. Chartered Accountants, they have verified this and they gave report on this BRSR. Management is telling, management has filled this form, management is disclosing this. On top of it, independent practitioner reviewed this, verified this and gave assurance, right? So enhanced assurance you will get once it is verified by independent chartered accountant firm. So what is the type of assurance they have given? So they have given two types of assurance. So we have changed to HUL slide. Are we on the same slide, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So 15th question is, they have given both reasonable assurance and limited assurance. Reasonable assurance on BSR core principles, limited assurance on other parameters. We'll see what else when we come to assurance part, we'll see that. So next is product details. So what are they into? 90% or 100%? They covered 100%. So all products they have disclosed. Now again they gave a breakup. So in home care, what are those? In beauty and well-being, what are those they are dealing with? So they gave a detailed breakup of products and services. Then operations they have given, markets they have given. Correct? Next. So what is the percentage of contribution they have given? Correct? Now a brief on the types of customers they have given. So their presence in India, 90 years. 9 out of 10 Indian households use one or more of our brands. So they're telling every household you touch, 10 households, you'll get 9 out of 10. One or other product of HUL would be using. Network of 3,500 distributors they have. So on and so forth, they gave brief about customers. They are not only in physical stores, they are also available in online stores, e-commerce, quick commerce, etc. So details of employees and workers, permanent, contract basis, male, female. Then the managerial level, how many employees are there? who are women, differently abled workers details, right? Turnover rate. See, permanent employees, there is 18.9%. So 19.6, 17.4, and 18. In those who are working in plant. So the attrition rate or the turnover rate is very, very less, 2.8%. Right? Drastically reduced. That means it's a great place to work, right? They are giving, not asked by BRSR. They are telling that some survey has been conducted and we are telling number one employer, best organization for women by Economic Times. So certain newspaper things, certain credible subsidiary relationships. So you have wholly owned subsidiaries, you have 80%. So now you talk about 10 Unilever Nepal Limited. Is it covered in this BRSR? It is not covered because they exclusively mentioned other than wholly owned subsidiaries, which are 80%. There is a joint venture that is also not covered. 51% subsidiary not covered. So CSR details. So yes, it is applicable. You have given turnover, they have given net worth, they have given. Now it comes to stakeholder, each stakeholder, right? So investors other than shareholders, there are none. Shareholders, how many complaints? 227 complaints they have received and all are resolved. Employees and workers, 94 complaints are raised, 6 are pending, rest all resolved. Customers, 3,386 complaints, 116 are yet to be resolved, rest all resolved. Value chain partners, there are no complaints raised. See, communities, 1 complaint is raised. So they need to give, so how much data you need to capture? So giving assurance for BRSR is not a simple task. So much of information you need to collect, so much of information you need to review. Just to fill this 227, why it cannot be 250, why it cannot be 200, why it is 227? Completeness you need to ensure, right? What is the channel with which shareholders are communicating complaints? What is the channel? Customers are giving complaints. You saw products, right? You saw products, you saw biscuits, you saw soaps, you saw detergents, right? So you saw there is complaints, customer feedback, right? There is a contact details, there is an email ID. So if you send an email, that will go to company, that will get recorded. So through which they take, if you take that email, you can go through that, how many complaints were there, what are the types of complaints, how many were recorded, whether it has been given to respective department to resolve that complaint, how it got resolved, correct? So this entire thing has to be verified by the practitioner. Now you have material business conduct issues. So what are those issues? Resource and circularity, resource use and circularity. So you have plastic usage, you have waste which was created. So the packaging material, the plastic material which you are selling, so you need to call for causes damage to environment. So sending it, collecting from the customers, collecting from the environment and recycling it, it's a big risk for the organization. Then as I told you, monsoon, the climate change is the biggest risk to the organization, which are dependent on talent is general risk, pollution is general risk, right?
Recording
Question
in
you want
progress.
detailed explanation, please let me know. Clear
No,
everyone?
sir. No, sir. Clear, sir.
Good, good. So now we will again go back to SEBI notification, where we will discuss section B. Then we will again see practically how it get filled, right? So just give me a second. Yeah. So you are seeing the PDF, right? Section B.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what does this section talks about? So let's see. So the section is aimed at helping business demonstrate the structure, policies, process put in place towards adopting national guidelines on responsible business conduct, principles and core elements. So we will eventually discuss all these 9 principles in section C, but here we need to mention, here we need to explain in section B that whether organization has policies towards principle 1, principle 2, so on, principle 9. So within the organization, whether organization has policy, yes, no. If there is a policy, next question is, do they have procedure? What is the difference between policy and procedure? Policy is a high level document, right? Procedure is ground level, what all, how you can do. Policy is what to do, what to achieve. Policy says. Procedure says how to achieve, what steps you need to follow to achieve that is procedure. So what are the questions asked here? Whether your entity's policy procedure cover each principle and its core elements of NGRBCs, yes or no? So let us say you have policy towards P1 to P7. P8 you don't have a policy. Now you need to write no. P9 you don't have a policy, you need to write no. The moment you write no, you should go back and draft a policy. You should go back and have a policy. Top 1000 listed entities, they should have policies for all the principles. If they don't have today, they can have tomorrow. But they need to tell positive or negative, you should report it. That is sustainability reporting. So you need to write whether you have policies with respect to principle 1 to principle 9, yes or no. Whether such policies are prepared and approved by board, yes or no. If that policies are publicly, it is available in public domain, give the link where we can go and access it, where the reader will go and access it. Correct? So stakeholders, they are not within the organizations, they are outside the organization, right? Shareholders, they are not in the organization, they are outside the organization. So they can go and read those documents. Whether the entity has translated the policy into procedures. So you just have a high level document, but you don't have how to do. You have not broken down, you have not break it down into actionable steps. Correct? So you are telling our organization will be a great place to work, or our policy says it is very great place to work. So for great place to work, what all you need to do? How you need to treat employees? What salary structure you should have? What kind of work ethics you need to follow? So all those things has to be actionable steps. You have a policy that you want to do sustainable sourcing. So sustainable sourcing, you want to tell that we have a policy. But are you educating the farmer? Are you educating your business partner who is farmer on the ground that what kind of manure they need to use? How can they reduce artificial chemicals, pesticides, how can they reduce it? How can they increase their yield? So you are not taking care of the steps, but you are telling on top level, you are telling we are doing sustainable sourcing. So having a policy is of no good if you don't have detailed procedures which will ensure that you will able to address that policy. So whether the entity has translated policy into procedures. Does the enlisted policies extended to your value chain partners? Very, very important point. Do the enlisted policy extend to your value chain partners? So who are your value chain partners? Suppliers, customers, distributors, dealers are your value chain partners. Apple is not into manufacturing mobile phones. Apple outsources their manufacturing. Let us say you eat biscuits, you drink some cool drinks. Do you think the company, the brand name which is on that bottle or on that packet is manufacturing it? No. Many of the products are not manufactured by the companies, they have been outsourced. The manufacturing capability has been outsourced to someone, right? You have seen it. So now your company is good, but the value chain partner is not complying with it. He is not following the sustainable practices. He is not giving importance to environment, social, and governance. In his area, the workers are working for 16 hours, 18 hours. So your office, people are working in AC for 8 hours, 7 hours. But you have given job work to someone, for there the workers are not working 8 hours, 7 hours, they are working 14 hours. Hygiene is maintained in your office, but not in manufacturing capacity of some other entity, which is providing you manufacturing facilities. So the policies which you are following has to be extended to value chain partners. So you are storing the goods in the required temperature. Let us talk about pharma company. But your distributors are not taking care of that. Means your distribution, who are value chain partners, they are not following these policies. So you assume it's as a ripple effect, right? So or dominoes effect. So here you are telling it is organization responsibility to check or to deal with those people who are complying with these principles. So in a way you are telling whoever is dealing with my organization also has to be sustainable. Now go back to that organization. Now that organization also will think whoever dealing with that company will also be sustainable. So eventually this will have a ripple effect, and every organization directly or indirectly get affected and has to be complied with BRSR principles. This question is very, very important. You understood the importance of this question? Can anyone summarize and explain what you understood? Third question.
Do the enlisted policies extend to your value chain partners? Which means the policies which developed by the entity, whether it's extended the value chain partner, because the suppliers are very, very important. The raw material, whatever the input we are getting, it is very much important. In those line, whether it is included. For example, if you own equip management manufacturer, the actually product name is ours only. We are giving entire manufacturing activities is given to the outsider. They are only making the manufacturing. Whether how the policies and procedure is there at their location, whether this company is going and visiting the factory and quality is checked by every time. What is the quality and quantity? All these things. What is the transportation? What is they are following the environment, whether it's a pollution is there or something. All this thing was a storage capacity like that. Segment wise, the suppliers as well as the customers, and like this the policies has to be developed and in place, and it has to be approved as well. And
Correct.
once in a year, whether all the items mentioned in the policies, whether they are following it or not, that is very much important.
Correct. Yeah. So you also understood the ripple effect, right? So going forward, every company has directly or indirectly should follow BRSR principles.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's also an indirect impact. We are not telling, let us say, I'm an MSME vendor. I'm not a listed entity, but I'm dealing with a listed entity which are following BRSR principle. Now BRSR, they need to report that your suppliers are following the policies or not. So now to have a relationship with a top listed entity, I also need to follow BRSR principles. You got it? Although directly it is not applicable to MSME, but it is indirectly applicable to MSME. All the principles, right?
Right, sir.
Next.
Like the listed entities need to prepare that Ind AS is mandatory, the 250 crore. When it's coming to the subsidiary company and the joint venture, they also need to follow the Ind AS to comply
Correct.
with this. And
Correct.
likewise, even though the BRSR is not applicable to the suppliers and customers, since our parent entity is responsible for that, they also in turn they need to follow the procedures and policies.
Yes. Or you need to tell that, see, I am dealing with 50% of suppliers who are complying with BRSR, 50% of suppliers who are not complying with BRSR. You need to mention that fact here. But who want to mention that? So eventually you want to mention 100% of my suppliers, 100% of my value chain partners are in compliance with BRSR. That is a great reporting, right? So you will strive for it. The moment you need to report it, you will strive for, you will make mandated to your, wherever possible, you will make mandated. Like if you want to associate with us, if you want to do a transaction with us, if you want to enter an agreement with us, you also has to be follow these conditions. So that I will tell that whomever I am dealing with, they are also sustainable. Correct? So that is the importance of point number 3, although it looks a very simple point, but it has a very great impact. So next you have name of the national and international codes, labels, standards, ISO standards, which you have followed for your company. That also has to be listed for each principle. Next is specific commitments, goals, targets set by the entity. So as I told you, UK set the target of net zero by 2050. Apple set, I think, net zero by 2030. There are other companies which tells that by 2037 I'll become net zero. I'll become plastic neutral. I'll become so they will. What are the goals you set? What are the promises you made in the public? As an organization, whatever you have done, you need to mention here. Goals, targets set by the entity with defined timelines. It's not like just you mention that goal without timeline. It has to be a time bound. Then performance of the entity against each specific commitment. So how far you came? Let us say net zero or plastic neutral. How far you reached? You are telling that we will discuss scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions, right? So the energy which I am consuming today, electricity which I am consuming in my office is purely solar based, purely renewable based. Example. So that means scope 2 is 0. Scope 2 covers what is the energy you are using. So are you taking from state electricity board, or are you consuming from your solar installed panels? So if you are consuming from solar installed panels, you will tell my consumption of electricity is sustainable, right? So that is how you need to tell, like how far you come. That is what you need to mention in 6. 5 is what is your goal. 6 is how far you reached your goal. So 5 is, let us say I want to become CA. 6 is you need to tell 50% of my syllabus is covered, 70% of my syllabus is covered, 80% of my revision is completed. That is what you need to tell every year in 6th point. Fifth point may not change every year. Okay. Sixth point, you need to update how far you reached, how far you came. Okay, that is what you need to mention. Next, you have governance, leadership, and oversight. So whether directors are reviewing it, whether there is a committee, ESG committee, right? So anyone or any multiple directors are looking into this BRSR report or not? Who is the highest authority responsible in this organization for BRSR report? You will write. Does the organization have specific committee? You will mention. Again, principle wise. So how far you are reviewing it? Whether directors are reviewing it? What is the frequency of reviewing it? So every principle, whether it is half yearly reviewed, annually reviewed, quarterly reviewed, you will tell. So this question will gives you how important BRSR is to the organization. Let us say an organization doing review on monthly basis means they are super conscious. They are giving huge importance to BRSR. If they are reviewing annually once, they are giving importance, but they are doing annual reviews, quarterly reviews, half yearly reviews. You will mention that. Next, any independent assessment is carried out by an external agency, you will mention that. So each principle, whether it is reviewed by external agency or management themselves are giving the report. So which principle? Let us say all 9 principles are reviewed by independent assurance. Fine, very good. You also understand, once we go into principles, you will understand that a chartered accountant is not expert in all the fields, right? So there are items, there are elements, there are questions which cannot be verified by chartered accountant. He needs expert advice. He need to involve other experts in order to give assurance. So here you need to write principle 1 to principle 4. Yes, it has been assured. But principle 5, principle 6, no assurance was taken care. But other principles, again, they have given assurance. Or all, or none. So if it is none, that means all the numbers, all the answers to the questions, 140 questions has been given by management. It has not verified by third-party assurance, third-party practitioner, CA firm. Correct? So 11th question itself has great importance towards the entire BRSR report. Please understand, 11th question is how important it is to place reliance, to take assurance from what they have reported. 11th point will make an entire shift. So if 11th is telling, yes, there is an assurance provider, yes, there is a practitioner who reviewed and gave assurance, that gives a different perspective. If they say no, that means no one is verified. That means management has given these numbers. So how different you will get as a reader, how different it will be. So one question will change the entire perspective of the report. That is the importance of 11th question. So if answer to above question, no, not all principles are covered by policies, you need to mention the reasons. Example, you say no for principle 7 in above question, first question. There is no policy. So why it was not considered? At which stage it is there? When are you going to consider? What is the plan you have? What is the financial impact it has? So once you have no, let us say if everything is yes, question number 12 is not applicable. So section B consists of 12 questions. You understood all 12 questions, right? So let us see. If you have any doubt, we'll discuss. Otherwise, we'll take a practical case, read that.
Sir, what is NET 0, net zero you talk about?
Yeah, net zero is an organization is having a goal that their carbon emissions will become zero. Today, if you take HUL, you take ITC, you take Reliance, whoever has big manufacturing facilities, they are causing huge amount of carbon emissions, greenhouse gas emissions, nitrous oxide, sulfur oxide emissions, right? You want to run a factory, it's not a simple thing. So you cause some kind of pollution to the environment. So now these carbon emissions you are doing, it's measured in some metrics. So some thousand tons of emissions you are making, tons of pollutant you are creating every year. So now how to make it zero? What you need to do is parallelly you need to think for innovation, product innovation. How can I reduce my nitrous oxide? How can I reduce my sulfur oxide? How can I reduce my carbon dioxide emissions? How can I reduce it? At one place you are reducing it. Number two, certain things you cannot reduce. So if you want to convert raw material into finished good, you required minimum amount of emissions. So you cannot reduce these emissions. You can reduce to some extent, but certain things you cannot reduce to zero. So how can I make it to zero now? So what I'll do is alternatively, I spend some money on greenery. I spend some money on solar plants. I spend some money on renewable projects where I get some credits, energy credits. So by doing this, let us say you do plantations. So you do plantations that absorbs carbon dioxide. So here you build some water reserves. So there is a matrix, there is performance, okay, achieve, and you will get some credits. We'll see that PAT, performance, achieve, and you will get some credits. So once you get that credits, so the number of credits you have, the number of emissions you do, if you match it, it should become zero. The moment it becomes zero means you are environmentally neutral. Your operations are environmentally neutral. You are not causing damage to the environment. You are not causing damage to the global environment. Hope it is clear, right?
Yes, sir. Got it.
Yeah, that is net zero. Net zero is you emit something, but at the same time you create some credits. Now I'll give one more example. Let us say you are not creating it, but there are organizations who are doing these activities, right? So they will take credits. You will buy credits from that. So you will see so much of carbon credits exchange. Carbon credit is the new gold, I can say. So what is this carbon credits? Companies who are dealing with renewable energy, wind energy, solar energy, huge amount of plantations which they are doing, ecological activity they are doing, they will get carbon credits from government, approved carbon credits. Oh, these carbon credits, they can sell it to companies who are doing emissions, companies who are doing damage to ecology. They can buy these credits. You understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is going forward, even farmers get credits. So all the farmers who are doing organic farming, right? Who are not using pesticides, who are not using chemical manures. So they will get these carbon credits. So these carbon credits will be on demand. So the big companies who are making emissions, they will buy these credits from them. So farmers will encash these carbon credits. Clear? We will gonna see this in another 3-4 years or 5 years. Carbon credits will be accounting of carbon credits, sale of carbon credits, right? This is going to be the future. So any other doubts you have in these 12 questions?
Clear, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So we will see a filled form, section B. So again, they gave some highlights. So there is independent chair of ESG committee at board level. 67% of independent directors are in ESG committee. So many brains are working. So many people are reviewing all the transactions, all the reporting you are doing. So COBP aligning with UNGC. So the business policies or business procedures, company's business code of business policies. So nothing but your business policies are aligned with international practices. So ESG policy, second question we saw, whether policies are there and approved by board, yes, it is approved by board. So they gave highlights, but they also need to answer all the questions. Just a second. So what are they telling? You see here, first question, whether entity policy? Yes, they have policy. Approved by board? Yes. Web link of the policies? Yes. You go here, you will see all the policies. What are the policies you have? For ethics and integrity, sustainable products, employee well-being, stakeholders, human rights, environment, regulatory requirement, inclusive growth, consumer and IT. For all these things, you have policies, and all policies can be, you can have access to all these policies in their website itself. And whether they have policies of transfer to procedures? Yes. Next, enlisted policies extended to value chain partners? Yes. Very important. Our Code of Business Principles, COBP, and RPP, Responsible Partner Policy, extend to value chain partners also. That means they are claiming that all the people whom we are dealing with, they are also sustainable. They are also following all principles, all 9 principles. Then So international norms against each principle they have mentioned, right? You can see ISO principles, you can see OHSAS principles, you can see FSSC. You may have seen FSSAI in on many products which you are eating, right? ISO norms. So international standards for each principle, there are international standards. So which standard you are following, that also has to be given. Any commitments as such, you see, they are telling you to go and refer our integrated annual report for ESG goals. And highlights also, you refer our integrated annual report. That is what they are telling you to go and look at it. Next. So director, who is responsible? He has given. So who is responsible for director is Rohit Java, who is that ultimate authority, CEO as well as MD. So he himself is responsible for ESG reporting. So as we told, CEO and MD himself is responsible. So who are others directors are responsible on sustainability issues? Who is reviewing? So you see here, ESG committee half yearly basis, audit committee quarterly basis, and compliance they are checking quarterly basis. So all the policies, all the principles are being reviewed on quarterly and half yearly basis by different committees. So independent assessment carried out. Yes, we have seen in the beginning. Yes, they have carried out independent assessment. So any of the question is above is no, not applicable, because every principle they have made policy, they have made procedure, they had ESG committee, they are doing everything. So the question of 12th question is not applicable. So this is section B. So we will move to section C. So the same way, any doubts in section B?
No, sir.
Yeah, nice.
Section B is mainly talks about policies and procedure for all
Policies,
9.
procedures,
Yeah.
committee, who
Committee.
is responsible at the top level, who is responsible, and
Responsibility.
what is the periodicity of review? You made a policy, you made a procedure, but no one is reviewing it.
Whether it is annually or semi-annually or other mode.
Yes. So we move to presentation. So section C, it talks about 9 principles. So 2 of them are talking about, we have 3 pillars, right? 3 pillars are converted to 9 principles now. So 2 talks about environment, 3 talks about social, 4 talks about governance. So ESG, you see 9 principles, it has been divided. 9 principles again further bifurcated into 2 talks about environment, 3 talks about social, 4 talks about governance. So what are those? We'll see. First, Ethics, transparency, and accountability. Ethics, transparency, and accountability. Again, you recall your principles, you recall your SQC1, right? Any activity, anything you wanted to do, first you should understand the people who are doing that, the people who are reviewing that, the people who are responsible for that. First, they should be integrity, they should have integrity, they should have ethics. They are not having black marks. Let us say the independent ESG committee, the chairman of ESG committee himself has some cases. Himself was having some cases going on with regard to fraud, with regard to some scam. So do you think the entire BRSR is losing the credibility? So the one who is handling at an organization level, whether they are taking accountability, whether they have integrity, whether they are independent, right? And whether at organization level, do you have anti-bribery policy? Do you have anti-corruption policy? So all those aspects you cover at principle 1. So principle 1 is you discuss all other 8 principles, but the one who is monitoring, who is performing all these 8 principles are good enough or not. Organization level, you have authority or not, that you discuss in principle 1. So the decision making, the business conduct is discussed in principle 1. Next, principle 2, safe and sustainable goods and services. So what they are talking about? Now they are coming to products. Now they are coming to services. So what kind of goods you are preparing, what kind of goods you are manufacturing, what kind of services you are giving, are they safe enough? Are they sustainable enough? You talk about cigarettes, you talk about crackers, you talk about liquor. Are they good enough? Are they good products? No, they are not good products. They are not safe to consumers. You yourself give that it causes cancer. So you are not following principle 2. Principle 2 is safe and sustainable goods and services. Your product has huge amount of sugar. Is it safe? Is it safe to consume, or is it safe to give kids huge amount of sugar? Not. It is not safe. You may have seen certain products which are stored for 3 months, for 9 months. Packaged foods. Packaged foods is good for consumers? May not be, right? So is it safe for safe goods and services? Correct? So in principle 2, you talk about products, you talk about inputs, what you are consuming for products, you talk about what kind of damage that it creates, that your product creates to the environment. So that all you talk about in principle 2. So principle 2 is all about products. So first is principle 1 is about top level. So principle 2 is about products and services. What kind of services you are giving, right? So what kind of services you are giving? So let us say you talk about hospital services. You are into. So what kind of services you are giving? Is it safe enough? You are doing plastic surgeries for your clients. You are giving services in order to reduce weight 20 kilos in 1 week. So you are doing some surgery. So you are doing service. You are not doing any goods. That surgery, is it good enough for that patient? You are writing, mentioning some tablets. You are giving some prescription to your clients. You are giving service. Is it good service or bad service? Engineers, doctors, lawyers, CAs, right? So there is good service, there is bad service. Just give a thought. A CA there are CAs who can give good service. They can CAs who can give bad services also. They can have. So the suggestions, the services which you are giving, is it safe enough for your clients? Is it safe enough for your customers? Is it sustainable enough? So the tax planning which you are telling to a client, probably it can save some money in present, but Eventually, you may pay huge taxes in future. So you tell your client to pay advance tax on time. Okay, not to avoid some, not to take some loopholes, which is sustainable way, right? So you cannot give wrong services to your client. So it is applicable to both goods as well as services. Principle 2 is safe and sustainable goods and services. So a question comes with regard to products, question comes with regard to services, you land up in principle 2. The inputs you consume for products, right? Is it sustainable or not? So that is your principle 2. Principle 3 is all about promote well-being of all employees, including those in value chain. So you're talking about employees. So people, principle 3 is about people, employees, work ethics, timings, pay structure, minimum wages criteria, environment. Okay, environment you are creating for employees. All these we'll discuss in principle 3. So we are good enough. At top level we are discussing. We will go again and we will discuss. So for each principle you have again essential indicators and leadership indicators. So principle 1, ethics, transparency and accountability, you have 7 essential indicators, 2 leadership indicators, so on and so forth. We'll discuss again all these questions. But at high level, you should know what each principle talks about. So that is what we are discussing now. So principle 1, high level. Principle 2, products, services. What is your deliverables to customers, to clients. Principle 3 is about employees, the one who is serving clients, the one who is working in the factory. Are you taking care of them? Are you taking insurance for your employees? So all those things are discussed in principle number 3. Is it safe to work in your factory? So are you giving goggles? Are you giving helmets to your employees, right, in the factory? So probably the one who has already visited factories, you have seen. Okay, employees who are working in factory, they should be given some adequate shoes, adequate gloves, adequate goggles, adequate helmets. Okay, so which helps them to keep the workers safe. Principle 4, respect for stakeholders' interest and responsiveness. So here, as we have discussed in section A, we have discussed few questions. We made some groups, we made some stakeholder groups. So section A, what we have discussed, we will repeat again in principle 4. Can someone tell me what are the stakeholders groups we have discussed in section A?
Sir, stakeholder groups we discussed about shareholders, customers, and suppliers, and value chain.
Correct. So
Value chain. These are the items.
Yes.
Whether they
So
have the
now
policies and
principle 4,
procedures.
when we go to principle 4, we will discuss against each stakeholder group. What have you done? Have you create some awareness programs to them? Have you informed customers? See, today's actions will create the environment, will have an impact on environment in future. So let us be responsible. Let us do responsible business. Let us do sustainable business. So it is responsibility of organization, big listed entity, in order to convey the message to all their business partners, all their stakeholders, that you will discuss in principle number 4. Okay, it is your responsibility to create awareness. So I deal with, let us say, 1,000 distributors across India. I'll conduct an awareness session. Dear distributors, please do business in this fashion. Don't do business in this fashion. If you do business in this fashion, that may impact the environment, right? So this message has to be passed on. That is the responsibility of listed entity that you discuss in principle number 4. Principle 5 is talk about respect and promote human rights. So minimum wages, you need to pay minimum wages to employees. You need to, you should not encourage child labor. So all those aspects you discuss in human rights, respect and promote human rights. So we are talking about human rights, not employees. So human rights is a bigger umbrella. is a large umbrella. It covers vendors, it covers customers, it covers employees who are working in vendors factory, employees who are working in distributor, all will be covered in human rights. So a question can come to you where you may fight or you may think about whether it is principle 3 or principle 5. So please understand there are overlapping. If I tell you principle 2 and principle 1 is overlapping, yes, definitely. The business decisions you take in principle 1 have an effect on principle 2. Similarly, you get confused between principle 3 and principle 5. So what are all the questions asked in principle 3? What are all the questions asked in principle 5? You should be clear enough. Otherwise, if I ask you a question, if I tell you minimum wages payment I wanted to do, and I wanted to spend money on employee well-being, right? So where do you classify these questions? So you may find that these are questions which are relating to employees. So let me classify in principle 3. You are wrong. It has to be classified in principle number 5. So what are the questions which are classified in principle number 3? What are the questions classified in principle number 5? One has to read it thoroughly, understand it thoroughly, segregate it, and you are able to recall it. Clear? So that is with regard to promote human rights. Principle 6 is talk about protection and restoration of environment. So here what we talk about net zero. Here we discuss about nitrous oxide, sulfuric oxide, carbon dioxide, pollutants, how much emissions you are doing, what are your plans to reduce it. All these questions are dealt in principle number 6. And I am repeating, principle 2 and principle 6 have overlapping. Today you are producing cigarettes, so you are causing damage to environment. So if you change your products, if you go for safe products, your damage to environment will also get reduced. So your principle 2 and principle 6 questions are overlapped. So while reading the question, you should able to distinguish, yes, this is the point discussed in principle 2. This is the question discussed in principle number 6. So there are certain overlappings happens. Okay. So once we discuss the questions, you back of the mind, you should think, yes, okay, these are the questions in principle 2. Yes, these are the questions in principle 6. Yeah, this is the distinction that if you should make now itself. And even in the revision also, you should make that distinction. Next, principle number 7, influence of public and regulatory policy. Very, I can say standalone item. Organization participates in multiple committees. There are Chamber of Commerce. You heard of Chamber of Commerce? You heard of certain groups, right? Certain groups where they discuss about public policies, right? Every country or every state, every district would have some Chamber of Commerce, would have certain groups, right? So these groups, how much you are influencing them, whether you are a member of that group or not, what kind of message you are passing on to that group, whether you are participating in any policy drafting, right? So let us talk about a new standard is getting implemented or a new act is going to come into picture. So what they'll do is they'll conduct some surveys, and through this Chamber of Commerce, through these groups like ICAI, ICWI, RBI, SEBI, so they ask public opinion from these groups, and these groups will have an impact on the new acts which are coming in future. So the government will collect opinions from these expert groups. So you discussed about as an organization, in which groups I am into, what kind of discussions I am involving, what kind of messages I am passing through these groups. That is what is public and regulatory policy. Next is promote inclusive growth and equitable development. So inclusive growth. What is inclusive growth? Let us take an example. You are not allowing competition. You want to do monopoly. So are you an inclusive company or an exclusive company? You are an exclusive company. You don't want a new entrant to be coming into your industry or into your business, into your market share, right? So, and you are taking adequate measures legally, patents you have taken, formulas you have taken, and you ensure that you stay monopoly, you stay biggest market share. You are not allowing others to enter into the market, or you are pushing the existing people outside the market. You are doing big acquisitions. Let us say today, if Jio wants to acquire Airtel, Competition Commission of India, CCI, Competition Commission of India does not allow that merger to happen. Why? If that get merged, Jio and Airtel get merged into one company, what happens? It is bad for the consumer. It is bad for the customer. So the moment you have more and more competition, it helps consumer for a better choice, for a better price. If the competition is reduced, the consumer are forced to buy at a higher price, at a less qualitative product, right? So principle 8 talks about inclusive growth, equitable development. You are fair in giving, you want your employees to grow. You want you may have a competitor. You have a very good relations with your competitor. Sportive nature, right? So that is what is dealt in principle number 8. Last principle number 9 is talking about consumers, right? So consumers, are you adding value to consumers? Are you taking customer complaints seriously? So what kind of feedback or what kind of mechanisms, what kind of access you are giving to customers so that they can come and talk to you, they can come and give complaints, they can come and give you feedback. So all these things are discussed in principle number 9. So on higher level, we know if it is product related, mainly you go to principle number 2, but it has an impact on principle number 6. If it is employees related, exclusively employee related, you go to principle number 3, but it has an impact on principle number 5. If it is talking about stakeholders groups, top level decision making, right? It is principle number 1 and principle number 4. If it is talking about dealing with outside parties, chamber of commerce, other groups, then principle number 7. You talk about anti-competitiveness, right? You are not allowing people, then it is principle number 8. If it is consumers with whom you are talking about, it is principle number 9. So can I say principle 2 also talks about principle 9? Principle 2 is also talking about principle 9. Whom you are giving your goods and services to consumers, right? Whom you want to keep it safe and sustainable to your consumers. So principle 2 and principle 9 is also overlapping. So at I know that you have little kind of confusion because I told you there are overlappings. But once we go into questions, once we see questions, all your doubts will get clarified. Okay, now you can narrow down. This is principle 1 questions. This is principle 2 questions. This is principle 3 questions. Clear, everyone? So on high level, we are good with all 9 principles.
Yes, sir.
So in a minute, in 1 minute, can you summarize? Can someone summarize what is this 9 principles all about before going to see section C, principle wise questions, essential indicators, leadership indicators? We will take short summary. Someone can participate and tell me short summary of 9 principles.
Yes, sir. Principle 1 is it's talk about the ethics, for integrity and competence, the confidentiality, professional due cares like that, legal compliance, and policies and procedure with respect to this, like that it's talked about. Safe and sustainable goods and services, whether the goods and services is a step to the consumers, like that the safety is, say example, the cigarette and alcohol, it is not at all safe, but what are the warnings they are giving, and whether the input what they are using, whether it is a correct or not, like that for goods. Services also, whether the advising the right input to the users, whether you have to pay the GST on time and income tax on time, like that. The services whatever they are providing, it should be the safe and sustainable manner.
Yeah.
Then principle number three is talk about promote well-being of the all employees, including the value chains, which means that all the employees are taken care on due course. For the female employee, the maternity leave is whether it is provided or not. For
Good.
male employee, paternity leave, like that. The value chains also, from when the own equipment manufacturer is outsider, in those employees also who are involved, whether their minimum requirement with respect to the employees is taken care. With respect to point number principle number four, respect for the stakeholders interest. The stakeholder, who are the stakeholders, all the shareholders are the stakeholders, the bankers and the customers, suppliers, all the interest. Those are the really they involved, they put their money into the business. So example, the suppliers is given money to the raw material, the credit period is given. the Sometimes the suppliers also will give the advance money to the company, like the banker also, whether the interest is paid or principal is paid, like that. What is the respect they are giving to them? And principle number five is talk about respect and the promote human rights. What is the fundamental rights for the humans? Say
Correct.
example, the drinking water is needed, toilet should be there. When there
Yeah.
is a illness, there should be some in-house
First aid
first
facilities.
aid, first aid and doctor, like that.
Good,
Then
good.
principle number six is talk about protection and restoration of environment. If a paper industry, if they are taking lot of water, what are the replacement for water? Whether they can able to take the water from the ocean and they purify it, they can use it instead of wasting the good water, like that. In
Good.
principle number seven is influence on public and regulatory policies. So example, the ONGCs is mainly involved in oil and extraction process. They will do lot of researches. When any tax or something is involved, whether they are in part of that committee or meeting, whether their opinion also is counted or not. What is their role in it? Principle number eight is promote inclusive growth and equitable development. Whenever the company is growing, the competition should be in a good manner. Say example, nowadays the airline industries, if you talk about, none of them they are not making profit. Only one airline is making good, which will have a lot of impact. The monopoly will be there. The monopoly should not be there actually. It should be, see, when we have 5 or 10 airlines companies, they are operating, the fare will be the good manner distributed. If only one person, whatever they are telling, we have to follow it.
Yes.
Principle 9 is talk about value to the consumer in a responsible manner, which means whenever there is a customer is raised a complaint, it has to be addressed. In, I think in the SEBI LODR also, within 21 days from the end of the quarter, whatever the how many complaints is received, what is
Correct.
responded, what is the pending, like that. The customer is a key role. What is the response they provide, like that? This is what I understood, sir.
Yeah. Correct. Thank you, Saminathan. So we'll see the questions. We'll go back to the PDF. You can see the PDF. Could you confirm? We are looking at the PDF, right? Principle 1. Yeah. Thank you. Yes. So section C, it talks about two elements, two indicators, essential and leadership indicators. So we'll discuss principle number 1. So principle number 1, which talks about business should conduct and govern themselves with integrity and in a manner that is ethical, transparent, and accountable. So something goes wrong, something negative happened with the company, you should be transparent enough. You should take accountability and admit that yes, my company has done this thing wrong. Let us talk about product recall. Product recall. Some time back, you heard that certain mobile phones are getting heated and blasted, right? So the batch of, let us say, the batch of 10,000 phones, they has to be called back. So calling back the products tells you that you have taken the accountability and you have called back the products. Number 1. Number 2, you can think of nano cars. Sometime back, they were giving some electric shocks of nano cars, right? So company has called back those cars. So that is what accountability is. So not every time you showcase that you are great, you are number 1, you make this much profit, you are sustainable. Sometimes if something goes wrong with your product, something done did by your company wrong, you should admit that yes, it was our fault and we are calling back our products. Nestle also called back Maggie. So this we call it as product recall. When you can do this kind of decisions, when you are ethical, when you have integrity, when you think that yes, that was fault by us, so you take accountability and you also tell good or bad, you show it to your stakeholders, that is transparent enough. So integrity, ethical, transparency, accountability should be guiding force for the people who are managing BRSR, people who are managing the business, right? So first is percentage coverage by training and awareness programs on any of the principles during the financial year. So how far board of directors, key manager personals, employees, workers are trained about BRSR? Number of training sessions they have conducted. What are the principles you have covered in the training? What is the percentage of persons in respective categories covered by awareness? Let us say you have board of directors of 12 people, out of which 8 people attended. So you say this much percentage. Let us say you have employees of 2000, 1600 employees who have been covered in training programs. So 80 percentage of employees category have been trained. Why you need to give training? Why you need to give awareness? You need to make them aware. See, this is how you need to do the activities. This is how will lead to sustainable products, sustainable business, right? So you need to update the board of directors, key manager personals, employees and workers about ESG, what it is, what are principles, what each principle means. So all those things have to be discussed, have to be deliberated with these people. So how many trainings you have conducted? That is the first question. Second, details of fines, penalties, punishment, award, compounding fees, settlement amount paid in proceedings by the entity or by directors or by KMCs with regulators, law enforcement agencies, judicial institutions in the financial year in the following format. Does company have any black mark? Does the people who are running the show, who are taking decisions, has any black mark? Does they have Does ED made a raid? Does income tax made a raid? Does money laundering, does they have any GST cases? Does any employee or any KMP is involved in any fraudulent action by company or by directors or by KMPs? So if they have any black marks, you need to mention that what is the amount involved, what is the penalty involved, how much you have settled, what is the compounding paid, all those things, monetary as well as non-monetary has to be mentioned. Monetary is you pay penalty. Let us say you made delay in GST filing. By way of paying penalty, the non-compliance gets reduced. Settlement, right? Customer has made big complaint. So you pay some fees and you settle the case. Compounding fee. This is the fee you pay for ROC or with income tax office, where you pay some fees and get it off. Okay, get the non-compliance cleared from on your name. So what is that you have paid? Imprisonment and punishment. Any of the employee who is leading the team, KMP, managerial persons, are they having any past police complaints, or do they go for any imprisonment for 1 year, 6 months, 3 months, 2 years, right? So that also has to be mentioned. Point number 2. Point number 3. So of the instance which are disclosed in question number 2, details of the appeal revisions where monetary and non-monetary action has been appealed. So you have not paid any money, but you have gone for appeal. So that case you will mention in case number 3. So does the company have anti-corruption or anti-bribery policies? Yes, if you have, provide us the policy details. Number of directors against whom disciplinary action was taken by any law enforcement agency. Enforcement Directorate, right? ROC, Income Tax, FEMA, whether they have taken any disciplinary action, whether they have charged any charges for bribery or corruption. If yes, classification and the amount in which financial year, how much is the amount you need to, what are the charges they have levied in current year, in financial year, you will report. Details of the complaints with regard to conflict of interest. Complaints with regard to conflict of interest. So understand this. What is conflict of interest? A director who is approving certain transactions, he is also interested in that transaction. Example, company wants to purchase some input material from ABC Limited. But ABC Limited director is a relative of the independent director who is taking decisions, who is reviewing transactions. So there is a conflict of interest. So if there is a conflict of interest, someone would have raised a complaint. So how many complaints were raised with respect to conflict of interest? Right? Number of complaints received in case of directors, in case of KMPs. You need to give number and you need to also give remarks that how many are still pending, how many are closed, how many are in progress. All these things you need to give. So hope conflict of interest is clear. And this we are discussing only with respect to directors and KMPs. These are the people who sign major contracts, who take major decisions for the company, for the organization. If they themselves involved in conflict of interest and someone raised a complaint upon them, that is very serious issue. So how many complaints were raised with respect to conflict of interest during the year, and what are the remarks? How many are closed? How many transactions you have completed, right? So that remarks you'll give here. Next, provide details of any corrective action taken or underway on issues relating to fines, regulators, or so all the 6 questions which you have discussed. So you need to give any corrective action has been taken. Let us example. Delay in GST. So you paid fine, you paid penalty. That's okay. So there is no non-compliance on company today. But whether it is going to repeat in future, what are the corrective action you have taken? Conflict of interest. Someone made a complaint and you have cancelled that contract, that there is a conflict of interest, so that contract has to be cancelled. Yes, you have cancelled it. But going forward, again it happens. So what kind of corrective action you have taken? What kind of corrective action you have taken against all the 6 points above is very, very important. So all the 6 points is present. 7th point is futuristic, right? So whatever happened is happened. Whatever penalty, fine, interest, compounding fees, imprisonment has happened, right? But going forward, it doesn't appear, it doesn't happen. What are all the corrective actions you have taken? That is what you need to mention in point number 7. So point number 7 is repeating all 6 points again. If there is yes, if there are numbers, if there are none, 7th point is not applicable. Clear? So these 7 are essential indicators, mandatory in nature in case of principle number 1. In case of principle 1, there are leadership indicators which are optional. So awareness program conducted for value chain partners. So within the organization, you covered above. Now outside the organization, I am taking sessions for distributors, I am taking sessions for suppliers, I am taking sessions for customers, I am taking sessions for, right, to other value chain partners, to my job work vendors. They are doing manufacturing, so I should tell them. So how many sessions you have conducted? What is the percentage? Let us say you have 10 job work vendors who is doing manufacturing on behalf of you. 8 are covered, 80% is covered. So that is what you need to write. Does the entity have process in place to avoid conflict of interest involving members of the board? So again, you need to write, do they have process in place? So here you are talking about process in place. Whether there is a procedure for if any contracts comes, what is the procedure you follow? What is the process you follow before you enter into a contract? Do they exist or does not exist? If yes, well and good. You need to provide the details. If it is no, you write there is no policy or process. So this is principle number 1. So anyone has any doubts? Seven essential indicators, 2 leadership indicators. So we will see how it is filled. So this is what you also need to understand. I mentioned it yesterday also. I'm mentioning now also. So you have something called as SDG, 17 SDGs, right? So principle 1 is aligned with which SDGs? Okay. So 5, 8, 10, 12 and 16 SDGs. You understand the interlinkage, right? The question, if at all the question comes, they also gives you SDG number and SGD nomenclature. So you kind of, while you are reading principle 1, you also see alignment of SGDs, okay, while you are doing revision also. So what they are telling, there are no, again, highlights. They are giving highlights before they answer. So nil bribery, nil corruption charges against any of the employees, BOD, KMPs, nil corruption, nil material fines. Material fines, please understand material fines. There would be some immaterial fine which was not been taken here. 98.3% value chain partners covered by the awareness programs. This is leadership indicator. This is an optional, but they are telling 98.3%. So if they have kind of 200, they would have covered almost 196 vendors they would have covered by their awareness programs. So first, training programs for board of directors, 5, 5, 1 and 1 they have conducted, and out of their board of directors, 88% have been attended, KMPs 100% attendance, employees 78.9%, workers 85.7% have been covered through these various training sessions, awareness sessions. What they have discussed in these training sessions: ESG goals, customer development, market insights, BRSR, reporting framework, sustainability, ESG goals, climate change, human rights, health and safety, etc. Right? So all these pertain to BRSR. Any fines? None. 0. 100%. Okay. Sorry, 100% KMPs. Here they are telling there were no material fines, penalties, punishments. So probably they would have paid some immaterial amount that is not needed, but here they are telling we have not paid any material fines, penalties, punishments, awards. So once this is clear, 7th question automatically becomes not applicable. Do they have policies with regard to anti-corruption, anti-bribery? Yes, link is provided. Any disciplinary action against any director, KMP, employees, workers by any enforcement agencies? Nil. Conflict of interest, any? Nil. You see nil. 7th question. So, do they have any action underways? Nothing. When all the above questions are answered nil, 7th is not applicable. Number of days of accounts payable in the following format, right? So they have given number of days of accounts payable. Additional data is what they have provided. Next. concentration of purchases and sales with trading houses, dealers, related parties, along with loans or advances. So they are giving you how much they are purchasing from trading houses, how much they are purchasing from related parties. So that details were given. Next, leadership indicators. So awareness programs conducted for value chain partners. So they have conducted and 5,098 vendors were covered, 98.3%, and the topics which they have discussed is been given here. Avoid conflict of interest, yes or no? They have yes. So they have detailed process adopted of code of conduct, the process of identifying conflict of interest before someone pointing it out, and that also been given a web link to follow that. So this is what in principle number 1. So hope everyone is clear. Any doubts in principle number 1?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Yeah. So in the interest of time, I'll directly cover the filled form so that we'll not do it duplicate, right? Okay, fine. See, principle number 2, as we discussed, products. So the moment you produce safe and sustainable products, it reduces, it helps you to achieve zero hunger. It helps you to achieve well-being to the employees. It may get sanitation and water, right? If you use less input for good products, water is saved, so on and so forth. If you make good products, there are multiple SDGs you are complying with. You have good climate, right? You have peace, you have climate action, you have responsible production and consumption. So there are so many SDGs which are aligned with principle number 2. So principle number 2 is aligned with multiple SDGs. Highlights, we'll skip that. First is percentage of R&D and capital expenditure investments in specific technologies to improve the environmental and social impacts of products. So are you doing any innovation with respect to your products? If there is no innovation, that means whatever today it is causing, a number of emissions, the amount of damage it is doing, it will continue to do it. So it is very important in product. Are you doing any R&D expenditure? Are you purchasing any capital expenditure in order to reduce the impact, in order to produce safe and sustainable products? Yes or no? Yes. How much expenditure you are making? What is the percentage was given? Sustainable sourcing. Does the company involved in sustainable sourcing? The input for producing a product, the input for producing a service, is it sustainable or not? Okay, so they are telling yes, they have reasonable partner policy, sustainable. Okay, what percentage of inputs were sustainable sourcely? 58.2% of crops were sourced sustainability. You want to prepare boost, you want to prepare complaint, you want to prepare some product, right? So you need some inputs from agriculture. So whether that agriculture, the practices they are following is sustainable, or it is consuming the entire nutrients from the soil. Today I am taking the crop, and after 2 years you cannot use that land for agriculture. Is it sustainable sourcing? No. So what are the things you are doing for sustainable sourcing? Are you creating water storage capacities there? Are you creating some biomass facility where the organic manure is generated? So if you do such activities, if you train your value chain partners, so the sourcing which you are doing becomes sustainable. You keep on get the input. You keep on get the input. That is called as sustainable sourcing. So 58.2% they are doing sustainable sourcing. So are they using, do they have policy, do they have process in place to reuse them, recycle them, dispose them at the end of the life? So let us say I gave some can. So do I have policy to bring the can again and reuse it? I'm preparing papers, I'm preparing papers. So once you use that paper, can I call back those papers? Can I reuse that paper? Can I do recycling of that paper? Can I reuse the bottles? So all this is whether there is in place or not, you will check. All these are about products. Extended producer responsibility is applicable or not? What is the extended producer responsibility? I talk about carbon credits. So this is what talks about extended producer responsibility. Yes, it is applicable and they are complying with EPR norms. So next, leadership life cycle assessment. What is this life cycle assessment? A product from its start to end, the moment the raw material, how much raw material you consume for manufacturing a cell phone, what different kinds of material you use for manufacturing of cell phone, for getting the product into manufacturing site, what all you consume, what all emissions it does, while manufacturing what you do, after for servicing it, for giving dispatch to customer, what packaging material you use, after proper consumption, after 2 3 years, how long average user uses the mobile phone, after using that e-waste, what the consumer will do, what kind of emissions it emits after its disposal. So the entire study, we call it as life cycle assessment. So whether you have done it or not, if you have done it, give the details. So they told that they have done it 76%, 76.7%, they have done cradle to grave assessment. And whether they are giving that, but they are telling that results are currently not communicated in the public domain. They have done it, but they are not publicly, it is not available publicly, right? So any significant social or environment in case of LCA. So while you do life cycle assessment, you know what kind of impact it is creating. So that whether any significant impact on environment, social, that you need to highlight. So this is where you need experts. It's not financial reporting, right? Here probably the subject matter is mobile phone, the subject matter is automobile, a car, a bike. Subject matter can be anything. The moment you see product, you need subject experts in order to verify that life cycle assessment is correct or not, whether the impact which was considered is correct or not. So you also need to provide assurance, you also need experts along with you. So how much of recycled or reused plastic you have used in input material? So out of 100 units you are purchasing, 100 kgs I am purchasing, 6.1%, 6 kgs was recycled plastic. So this number has to grow further to tell that if you use 100% recycled products, that means the loss or the damage or the emissions you are doing will get reduced. Understood? So very important indicator that how much of input material is recycled material, reused material. So previously it was 4.4, it has increased to 6.1. So they are showing that there is an improvement. See, plastics, how much plastic they have created, metric tons, 2 lakh metric tons they have safely disposed. Previous year it was 88,000 they have safely disposed, right? Other waste, expired and damaged products, so they have reused it, they have recycled it, and they have safely disposed. So if they wouldn't have done this, this would have gone into environment just like that and causing some damage. But safely disposal means properly crushed. They would have created some big. Safely disposal indicates that you used it for, you disposed it properly, right? So that is what they have done. And next, reclaim products, packaging materials, expired and damaged products, 0.2 only they could able to remove. Plastic waste, 165.8% of total packing material they could able to reclaim. Means what? Whatever they have sent, more than that they have reclaimed. Means other companies' plastic waste also they have collected. Understood? So that is principle number 2. So you see all this is revolving around product and product safety, right? Clear? We are clear here? Product principle number 2.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So next is principle number 3 is talking about employees. Very easy to understand. No technical things. Provide details of measures of well-being of employees. So have you taken health insurance? Have you taken accident insurance? Have you taken maternity benefits, paternity benefits, daycare facilities? How many are utilizing it? 100% employees are covered health insurance, right? Accident insurance, 100% of employees. Other than permanent employees, 94.7%, 95.9%. Accident insurance, 83.9%. Maternity benefits, 100% of female employees. Paternity benefits, 94.5, 93.2. Daycare facilities. Okay. So, company is telling, yes, we are taking good care of our employees, well-being of our employees. Well-being of workers, same parameters, well-being of workers. That is offices, this is manufacturing facilities, units. How much money you are spending? How much money you are spending on well-being of employees in the following format. As a percentage of total revenue, you have spent 0.2%. So this money has gone for paying insurance, paying salaries when they are absent by way of maternity, by way of paternity, they are incurring this expenditure. So that is what 0.2%. So if I check this with other company, then I'll know whether this company is paying good or not, right? So this BRSR helps in comparing one company to another company. Helps us to compare current year to previous year as well. Retirement benefits for current and previous financial years. So PF, 100% of the employees and workers are covered. Gratuity, 100% covered. ESI, only 1% and 0.2% is covered, right? Why it is less covered? Because ESI, there is, if you cross certain salary, ESI is not applicable to you, correct?
Yeah, 21,000.
Yes. So that is the reason the percentage is very less. So that is the reason they put asterisk and they gave a remark as well. So please understand what we are covering in this, because we'll again go to principle number 5 where we discuss human rights. So human rights also we have employees. I told you there will be overlapping. Okay. So please understand what is covered in principle number 3. Till now, well-being is covered. Retirement benefits are covered. Differently abled people are able to access the premises. Do you have ramps instead of stairs? Do you have like wheelchair access? Do you have evacuation chair? All these things for differently abled people. Do you have all these things or not? Yes, we have. The company is telling. Equal opportunity policy. Equal opportunity policy. So if it is male, if it is female, if it is caste, creed, race, religion, are you suing that? Are you keeping all those aside and just checking the merit? Can that person, can he able to do the job or not? Is it the criteria or do you have any other criteria? So equal opportunity policy. So that is also mentioned in their policy and they are also disclosed in website. Return to work retention rates. So we have seen turnover. It's opposite to turnover. So out of 100%, permanent employees return to work rate, male is 100%, retention rate is 84.3%. And permanent workers return rate is 100%, retention rate is 98.1%. So those who took parental leave, maternity leave, are they coming back or not? Yes, 100% coming back. Females, they are not coming back 100%. 96.6% is coming. The rest of them, they may stop doing job or something else, but 96.6% is also a very good ratio. Return to work and retention rates. They are coming back and they are retaining with the organization, or they are coming back, but they are leaving the organization after some time. Right? So that ratios has to be given. So do you have any grievance mechanism policy? If employee wants to complain on someone about organization policies, do they have grievance mechanism policy? Do they have specific email IDs? Do they have specific complaint boxes? Yes. For all of the employees, yes, 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 yes. Through which they can do complaint. They can raise a complaint. Next, membership of employees in association or unions. So an employee who's working here is also a member in union, labor union. This is stakeholder group. This is stakeholder group. So again, we discuss when we come to principle number 4. Principle number 4, you have stakeholder group. But principle number 3, we are already discussing stakeholder group. Principle number 4, we are talking about all stakeholders groups. Principle number 3, we are talking about employee stakeholder group. So how many employees who are working in your organization are forming part of one of the stakeholder group or not? So what percentage is covered? 81.7% is covered. Male is 84.4, female is 43.2. So out of number of employees who are working in the organization, they are forming part of stakeholder group. So they have a great union there. So they can raise a complaint. They can talk. They can ask on their behalf. They have their own group to raise the complaint and discuss about matters. Training given to employees. So how many trainings you have given that you need to mention? Career development. Are you telling them, look at your career, attend this course, attend that course, upskill your knowledge, right? You do work for the organization. At the same time, you spend some time for upskilling your knowledge so that your career growth will be there. So all those things you need to mention. Similarly, safety indicators, measures taken, entity, right? All these potential hazards will be covered in principle number 3. So leadership indicators, compensation package in the event of death, yes or no? Yes, they have compensation package in case of death, the gratuity benefit, the provident fund benefit, right? So these are the essential leadership indicators what you need to mention. Clear? This is with regard to principle number 3. So principle number 4, as I told you, interest of stakeholders. What is there? Let us see. So very few questions in this. First, you tell, do you have a process for identifying key stakeholder groups? The answer is yes. Do you have a process for identifying key stakeholder groups? Yes. So next question is, okay, you have the process. Now you tell me whom you have identified. So next question is, whom you have identified as your stakeholder? Consumers as one group, suppliers as another group, employees as another group, shareholders as another group, planet and society as a community as another group, customers as another group. So you made groups. So these are the stakeholder groups company has identified. How you identified? Following the process which was mentioned in question number 1. So once you identified, now you need to tell what channel they can communicate. They can communicate through phone, email, social media channels, brands, website, right? Surveys, etc. They can communicate. So the frequency is ongoing. So I am selling product today. He can complain today itself. He can come give feedback today itself. I'm conducting some survey. When will I conduct survey? Ongoing. Ongoing means throughout the year they will be conducting surveys. Not on some periodic basis, monthly ones, half yearly ones, no. Like 15 days, 20 days, again 2 months gap, again 30 days. So ongoing. So what every stakeholder group is interested about, that is also has to be listed down. So principle number 4, having only 2 essential indicators. So very easy to remember. Do you have process? Once you have process, what is the outcome of the process? Essential indicators, 2 essential indicators. And leadership indicators are also, how many? You have 3 leadership indicators. First is, so now the question is, once you have process, once you have stakeholder group, once they have channels for communication, the purpose is decided. So what is that they are communicating to you? That has been summarized and discussed with board? Yes or no? Yes, it has been discussed with board, right? So what kind of inputs they are giving, what kind of suggestions they are giving have been taken care or not? and any actions have been taken, any vulnerable, marginable stakeholder groups are there, you need to give details about that. So the stakeholder group is, the principle number 4 is very simple. You have only 5 questions. 2 are essential, 3 are leadership. So this is what you talk about, principle number 4. So any doubts still here, principle number 3 and principle number 4? So principle number 1 is clear. Principle number 2 is all about products. Principle number 3 is all about employees, right? Health insurance, well-being of employees, retention rate, correct? Principle number 4 is all about stakeholder groups. Principle number 5 is about human rights. So here you need to pay utmost attention. This is overlapping, as I told you, principle number 2 and principle number 5. You need to give utmost attention here. So here what we are talking about, we are providing training on human rights issues or policies. So there also we have discussed, principle number 2, we discussed trainings to employees, but that is on sustainability, that is on ESG, that is on other matters. Here you are giving exclusively with regard to human rights and policies. So that training, if they ask question, it is go to principle number 2. Human rights training comes to principle number 5. Minimum wage payments. So I am paying accidental insurance, I am paying health insurance, I am paying salaries for maternity leave, paternity leave, daycare facilities, I am paying all the money. That is principle number 2. I am paying money which is salary, whether it is minimum, whether it is in compliance with minimum wage or not. That is discussed in principle number 5. So both are employees, both are workers. Some payment you are making for well-being comes under principle number 2. Something which is compliance related minimum payment you need to make comes under principle number 5. So this is human rights. Minimum you need to make payment. That is the reason here it is coming here. Daycare facilities, paternity, maternity is over and above human rights. Some organizations may not pay accidental insurance. Some organizations may not pay health insurance. That is, employee has to pay from his own salary, right? So it is over and above salary you are paying. That comes under principle number 2. Minimum salary you need to pay for the work which he has done comes under principle number 5. So the moment you see employee, the moment you see workers, don't jump to principle number 3. You should analyze what is principle number 3 and what is principle number 5. Remuneration salaries, again, you need to see. So basic remuneration salaries all are covered under here. So here also you have complaints, workers, right? Internal mechanism to grievance, all those also there. But these complaints are with regard to human rights. Okay. Next you see discrimination at the workplace, sexual harassment, child labor, forced labor, wages, other human rights related issues. So these are very crucial, very basic human rights. So such complaints categorized in principle number 5. Other things, any employees, other matters, okay, your incentive was not given, promotion was not given, right? Although I worked hard, okay. So any other complaints, I want to be in that project, but they have not taken in that project. Any other complaints other than this, basic human rights will be covered under principle number 3. These complaints will be covered under principle number 5. Clear? Understood? So all plans assessment have been done in detail, and there are no cases with regard to sexual harassment, child labor, okay, forced labor, etc. So this is about principle number 5. So principle number 3 and principle number 5. Hope you are clear. Okay. So we'll take one simple question. So you can see my Word document.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let us read this question. ABC Limited So we covered 5 principles out of 9 principles. So we are taking a small questionnaire so that we'll put some pressure on our brain. We'll do some activity. So ABC Limited, a listed manufacturing company in India, is in the process of preparing its BRSR for the financial year 24-25 in compliance with the requirements prescribed by SEBI. During their internal review meetings, Sustainable Reporting Team of ABC Limited complied the following employee-related disclosure proposed to be included in BRSR. What are those? Details of remuneration, salary, wages paid to employees and workers. Details of training and skill development programs provided to employees and workers during the year. Details of minimum wages paid to employees and workers, including confirmation of compliance with applicable labor laws. Amount spent on measures towards the well-being of the employees and workers, such as health insurance, safety, mental health, welfare facilities. Now, management seeks your professional guidance to correctly map the above disclosures to appropriate BRSR principles in order to ensure accurate and compliant reporting. So what do you need to do? So tell me the answer. Based on the BRSR framework and the intent of the respective principles, identify the correct classification of the above disclosures under the relevant BRSR principles. So take 1 minute and try to answer this. Yeah. Do you got answer? So I saw something in chat box. So where do you classify the first item?
First items will be in principle number 5.
Principle number 5. Okay. Next. Second item.
Second item in principle number 2. Sorry,
Principle
3.
number 3. Okay. Third item.
Minimum is a principle number 5.
Good. 4.
3.
Yeah. So it's 5-3-5-3.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, which is the right option? It's option number C. Okay. First item is 5, second item is 3, again third item is 5, and fourth item is 3. 5-3-5-3, which
Yes,
is
sir.
option number C.
C is the
So,
right one.
yeah. So this is how you can expect questions, because we covered currently, so you could able to easily segregate what is it. But if you see employees and workers, okay, you may not able to identify, okay, which is principle 3 or which is principle 5. Okay, so revision is needed. Detail, one has to go through all the questions in detail. Okay, and extra attention has to be given for principles which are overlapping. As I told you, principles which are overlapping, you need to give extra care, like principle 3 and principle 5. Okay, principle 2 and principle 9, product and customer. Okay, so let us go back to our principle 6. So principle 6 talks about environment. Okay, so what they say? See, details of total energy consumption. We came to PDF. Are we came to PDF?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So details of total energy consumption and energy intensity in the following format. So how much you are consuming from electricity? Gigajoules, you need to measure in gigajoules. Total fuel consumption, how much you are doing? Energy consumption through other sources, how much you are doing? Right? So again, renewable sources, non-renewable sources. What is renewable? What is non-renewable? Renewable is sun. Renewable is water. Sorry, I mean to say sun,
Sir,
wind. These are renewable
solar,
sources. Okay,
yeah,
solar power, wind power. Okay,
windmill,
all these are renewable powers.
water.
Non-renewable powers are your coal, your petrol, your diesel. All these are non-renewable, finite resources. Okay, so this classification, you need experts. You need experts to help you in this. Okay. However, by reading this, one will understand how much they are using for renewable sources, how much they are using from non-renewable sources. So out of total energy consumed, 35 lakhs units, just for the sake of easy, 35 lakh units, 34 lakhs from renewable sources, which is very good, right? Which is very good. So almost 90% of their energy consumed is through renewable sources. Okay. So soon they will also make this reduced. Okay. So that they'll become net zero. Okay. Next. So any independent person has done? Yes, that independent person has done assurance. So all the numbers which we are discussed and which we are going to discuss in this principle has been verified by independent practitioner. PAT scheme, I told you, performance, achieve and trade. So you perform, you achieve and you get carbon credits. This is a scheme of Government of India. So those who are doing PAT, those who are earning carbon credits, they can sell to those who are emitting, making emissions. Okay. So disclosure with regard to water, how much surface water you are using, how much groundwater you are using. This is bad, right? You are using so much of groundwater. So what they could do, they could simply do, they could construct small ponds, small lakes, and they could store more water so that they can use surface water than groundwater. Okay. Today they are using huge amount of groundwater. Okay, which is not good. Third party water. So they are bringing water from some other parts, some other thing. Rainwater, others rainwaters. Okay. So surface water is too less. So the groundwater has to move to surface water so that they could cause positive impact to the environment. So this is, see, principle number 6 is all about electricity, water, right? Next you have nitrous oxide, sulfur oxide, pollution you are creating, emissions you are creating, how many metric tons? Greenhouse gas emissions, scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. What is scope 1? Let us understand scope 1. Scope 1 is I am emitting. My factory is giving pollution. That is scope 1 emissions. Scope 2, my input, I am consuming electricity. Let us say I am getting electricity from state electricity board. So few state electricity board, I talk about NTPC. I am getting power from NTPC, National Thermal. Okay. So how they are getting electricity? By burning coal, right? So my electricity is coming from NTPC. That means NTPC is burning that coal and generating that electricity. That is scope 2 emission. Understand scope 1, scope 2. Scope 1 is I am generating, my organization is generating, scope 1. Scope 2 is I am purchasing electricity. Okay. From where I am purchasing electricity? How are they creating electricity? By burning coal or by taking renewable sun. So if I am purchasing from sun, okay, if I am purchasing from companies who are generating electricity by way of solar, then my scope 2 emissions are negligible. You see, scope 2 emissions are huge. Means you are purchasing electricity, the entire electricity of factories, offices, right? You need to convert the monetary amount into units and you need to convert for each unit of NTPC, what they are giving, how much emissions they are doing, that record you should have. Then only you can write scope 2 emissions. What is scope 3? Scope 3 is very indirect. You have given to job worker, how much job worker is emitting. You have employees who is traveling with cars, how much they are emitting. You are doing economic class travel, flights emitting, how much that is doing. Very indirect, very remote thing is scope 3 emissions. Okay. So scope 1 emissions done by companies, scope 2 emissions, the input electricity, what you are taking, how much they are emitting. Scope 3 emissions are very remote. Your employees, right? Your suppliers, your customers. Let us talk about Maggie. Okay. So Maggie, they are selling Maggie. Now, to burn Maggie, customers will use some energy, some emission happens. That comes under scope 3 emission. You understood? So scope 3 emission is other than scope 1 and scope 2. So if your product needs some kind of emission, okay, which is not generated by company, which is not input to the company, then it is classified under scope 3 emissions. Okay, so residual emission is scope 3. So what is scope 1 and what is scope 2? Scope 3 you cannot even measure. Very difficult. Okay. You may come up with some life cycle assessment. That is where life cycle assessment helps you. So how do I know scope 3 emissions? You take 1 unit of your product and you do life cycle assessment. So for 1 packet of Maggie, how much raw material is used? For that raw material, how much emissions were made? So you compute that and you take out that what is the packet you are giving? Okay, what is the material? For burning it, how much emissions you need? For disposing it, how much emission you need? So you do life cycle assessment. Once you do life cycle assessment, you multiply with your number of packets sold. That gives you scope 3 emissions. Clear? So this is what they are telling, right? So waste management, you did plastic waste, e-waste. Plastic waste is your packing material mostly. E-waste is your laptops, mobile phones. Biomedical waste, consumption and demolition, construction and demolition waste, your buildings, battery waste, okay, radioactive waste, other hazardous waste. You may use some chemicals, right, which are hazardous, other non-hazardous waste. So how much you are generating? See how much data they are capturing. How much you are generating year on year? How much you have recycled it? 90,977, 90,478 is recycled. It's a huge number. Okay. 98% is recycled. Very okay. So they are doing very good. You understand? Sorry. So understand this is all about environment, wastages, water, emissions. If all these questions you get to know, that is principle number 6. Okay, wherever you see. So this is very standalone principle, I can say, where you may not see all these reporting items in any other principle. So you will not get confused. Okay. And every principle, let us say the question may come, like you need to remember, for every principle you need to able to recall 3 to 2 to 4 items, minimum 2, because we saw stakeholders group. There are only 2 questions, two questions in case of essential indicators. So 2 in essential indicators, 2 in leadership indicators. In every principle, you could able to recall. For every principle, they may ask you direct question. In principle number 4, you write what are the reporting items in essential indicators and leadership indicators. You should able to recall what is principle number 4. Okay. And you should able to recall what are all the reporting items in case of principle number 4, essential indicators and leadership indicators. So that is possible question. That is, they are testing your memory. The question which we have also discussed is kind of testing your memory. Next question is kind of application based question. I gave you some inputs. Now you need to report it under BRSR. How do you report it? So you need to tell that this is pertaining to human resource. This is pertaining to human rights. This is pertaining to employees. This is pertaining to environment. This is pertaining to product. This is pertaining to stakeholders group. This is pertaining to transparent accountability of the company. This is pertaining to fines, penalties, right? So respective area, you go and report it. Clear? So we are good with principle number 6. So it talks about environment. Principle number 7, public and regulatory body. See, again, principle 4 and principle 7 are very easy. Principles 4 and principle 7, you also need to see there are some kind of overlapping. So principle number 7, you see how many affiliates, trade groups you are a member. 10. Okay. 10 brand, 10 trade and industry chambers. So list down those 10, national or state level. So any kind of issues you have discussed? Nothing. Nothing was discussed. Only 3 questions or 2 questions. 1A, 1B, second question. Are you a member of any chambers? Yes. What are those? List down. Have you discussed any significant matter? Note it down. Next, leadership indicator. Public policy positions, like we discussed, like direct tax code, a new act is coming up. Labor code, recent days, okay. So what kind of inputs you have given? Any public participation you have done, any policy changes you have done, so that you need to discuss here. Okay, this is your leadership indicator in case of principle number 7. So principle number 7, only 3 questions. 2 are from essential indicators, 1 from leadership indicators. Very simple, very easy to recall, right? This is about, not about the organization, not about company, which is principle number 1, ethics, transparency and accountability, not about product, not about employees, which is principle number 3, not about product, which is principle number 2, not about stakeholders group, value chain, customers, suppliers, okay, debenture holders, bankers, principle number 4, not about that. Human rights, no, principle number 5. Is it about environment? No, it is discussing principle number 6. Principle number 7 is about your advocacy, the way your influence on other policy matters. That is your principle number 7. Very simple, very easy to remember. Principle number 8, inclusive growth and equitable development. I told you competition, right? I told you many things. So have you done social impact assessment? Social impact assessment have you done of projects? So first of all, what is project? What is social impact assessment? Okay. This is what we need to understand. Okay. So first of all, you understand, let us say you are constructing a big AI database warehouse, AI database center. So I need 2000 acres of land. Okay, it's a big project, right? It's a material project. 2000 acres of land, I want to construct AI database center. Now, during this project, I should understand, I should do social impact assessment. How much forest area, how much area which is able to grow some crops. It's not forest, it's agriculture land. I'm acquiring agriculture land. I'm acquiring forest land. I'm acquiring tribal land, right? So how much impact I am creating? How much impact, positive or negative? Okay. So the negative impact is the crops, the area which can be cultivated for crops. I am using that land. That is a negative impact, right? So how much carbon emissions would have absorbed by that land? I'm taking away that opportunity. Secondly, how many jobs I am creating? It's a positive impact. Okay. So this is what we call it as social impact assessment. Okay. Very, very major projects what you are taking up. We can discuss even for a smaller project also. If I am creating employment for one employee, what is the impact I am creating? Because if I give good opportunity for an employee, that family will have, okay, that family can survive because of employment. That is also an impact. That's a very smaller impact, I am telling you. But bigger projects, organization, is they taking up any bigger projects? And before taking up the projects, whether they have done social impact assessment or not, positive or negative. Okay, so that is what you need to tell. So here in this case, there are no projects which they have taken up, so no social, not applicable, right? Next, let us say rehabilitation and resettlement. So you are acquiring some land where you need to tell that people to vacate that. Are you creating the alternative them? Alternative? Are you giving compensation to them? So all these are rehabilitation and resettlement. You are acquiring some forest area. Are you creating an alternative place where you are acquiring land and doing forestation, afforestation? So the first and second, if impact is positive or negative, are you doing rehabilitation or not? That is what it is. So mechanism to redress grievance of the community. Okay. So how much input material sourced from suppliers? So inclusive growth, I told you inclusive growth. So are you purchasing from top companies or are you purchasing from MSME suppliers? Are you purchasing Indian suppliers or outside suppliers? So are you inclusive growth or not? So that is what forming part of that they are telling, we are sourcing from MSME suppliers. So which is a good thing. So as an organization, you are ensuring smaller suppliers to grow along with you. So you are giving opportunity to MSME suppliers. You are purchasing make in India products. You are telling you are doing good for the country directly from within India, 95.6%. Right? So you want your country to grow along with you. Okay. So make in India project. Okay. Jobs, how many you are giving? Rural 32.4%, semi-urban, urban, metropolitan. So although you have metropolitan 50%, but other regions also you are providing employment. So which is an inclusive growth. You are not restricting yourself to metropolitan employees. You are giving work to all regions employees. So it's an inclusive growth. Correct? So on and so forth. Okay, each area, let us say you conducted CSR. Are you restricted to one region or you are giving to all other regions? So how much money you have spent for each state, they have given breakup, which means I'm not concentrating, I'm not partial, I'm not biased. Okay, I'm objective enough to spread my impact to as many people as possible. As many people I want to include, I'm including, right? So this is all about your principle number 8. Principle number 8 is inclusive growth. Okay. Principle number 9, customers. So you may see certain overlapping with respect to product and customers. So describe the mechanisms in place, how you can receive and respond to customer complaints. Turnover of products and services as a percentage of turnover of products from all services that carry information about. Example. So you take a product. HUL is manufacturing some product. Does it have information, enough information? What are you eating? Okay, what are you drinking? Do you have all the elements there? Well mentioned? Yes. 100% of their product talks about safe and responsible usage. Certain products you see, keep away from children. Means what? Responsible usage. What it consists of? Lactic allergies. You read the word allergies, means they're telling you those who are allergic to milk, don't consume that. You may get diseases, right? So that is what you need to give information. So please understand, I told you overlapping here. This is about product. The information is about product, but we are discussing in principle number 9. Okay, principle number 2, we discuss about products, but here we are again discussing about products, but this is about principle. This is about, we are making aware about the product to customer. In order to help customer, we are making aware to the customer. So that is the reason it is landing in principle number 9 instead of principle number 2. So hope you clear principle number 2 and principle number 9, there are overlapping. So whenever you are doing revision, you take care of this as well. Number of customer complaints, very specific to this principle. Instance of products recall, how many products recall you have done, voluntarily or forced. Voluntarily you are doing recall. Forced means government has announced, take back the material. Forced recalls. Cyber security, data protection. I am a hospital. I did plastic surgery for 20 celebrities in India. This information should be hidden. This information should be confidential, right? If data get breached, this information gets public, then my reputation, okay, the confidentiality which I need to have is lost. You give all your property details, your Aadhaar card to banks, right? So banks has to protect this information. Banks has to keep all this information confidential, right? So how much loan you have taken, it's personal. How much interest you are paying, it's personal. Okay. So now this, by way of cyber hacks, this information got public. Okay. So the hospital got cyber attacked, data got leaked. 10 of the celebrities. Okay. You may heard of Panama Papers. Okay. So this leaks, this information if gets leaked, which has to be maintained confidentiality, it causes loss. So do you have policy on cyber security? Right? So do you have policy on data privacy? So all these confidential policies, what is the policy you have? Web link for policies has to be given, which is to protecting customers, personal information. Clear? So that is all about principle number 9. So how one can reach to you, okay, how one customer can reach to you, that is all details about leadership indicators. Okay, is it clear? Understood? So any questions you have till now? So shall we solve few MCQs? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So hope it is clear. All principles, you got 80%, 90% clarity.
Yes, sir.
Good, good. So we will quickly see few MCQs. So answer C, we know this. So we are in Word document. Are you able to see the Word document?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now again, second MCQ. It's a listed entity, BRSR reporting, same type of question. Following disclosures are proposed. So details of policies and procedures adopted by the company to ensure ethical conduct, transparency and accountability in business operations. Which principle it belongs to?
Principle number 1.
Good. Information relating to mechanism for preventing, reporting and redressal of bribery, corruption, unethical practices, including whistleblower complaints, received and resolved during the year.
It's again principle number 1.
Good, good. Details of stakeholder consultation process undertaken by the company for identifying key concerns of local communities affected by its infrastructure projects.
It's principle number 4.
Good, good. Disclosure of initiatives undertaken to address grievance and expectations of local communities and other stakeholders impacted by company operations. This is also principle number 4.
4.
So which is the right option? So 1 and 2 are reportable under principle number 1 and 3 and 4 are reportable under principle number 4. So the answer is A. Clear?
Yes, sir. A is right answer.
Yeah. Next. So what we have understood, we are again recalling that what we have discussed. So now here again the similar type of question. Now details of redesign of electrical appliances to improve energy efficiency during customer usage and to facilitate easier recycling at the end of product life cycle.
Principle number 6.
Principle number 6. Why do you think it is principle number 6?
Because
Principle number 6 is talking about human rights.
no. Principle number 6 talking about the protection and the restoration of environment.
Yeah. Correct. Principle number 6 is environment, right? So you are now details of redesign of electrical appliances to improve energy efficiency during customer usage to facilitate easier recycling at the end of product life cycle. Yeah. So you are talking about, so this has 3 elements. You have product, which is principle number 2. You have customer, which is principle number 9. You have environment, which is principle number 6. So principle number 6, we discussed about emissions, water, right? Pollutants. But we have not discussed re-engineering of product. Okay. So product re-engineering, we should give it to principle number 2, not principle number 6. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. It talks about the safe and sustainability of the goods and services.
Correct. So I'm making it safer, I'm making it sustainable. So it's principle number 2, not principle number 6. So see, just by reading the sentence, you have 3 principles coming up. Principle number 2 talks about product. Principle number 9 talks about customer. That is also is available. Principle number 6 talks about environment. So all 3 are there. So we should be careful enough to understand under which principle it has to be classified. Okay. Next, details of initiative undertaken to reduce water consumption, energy usage. Principle number 6.
This is very clear. This is 6.
Yeah. Reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. Principle number 6.
6.
Disclosure of compliance with environment laws and regulations, including details of environmental audits conducted at manufacturing locations.
That is principle number 7.
Principle number 7. Okay. So let us see the options. So there is no principle number 7. It is all about principle number 2 and principle number 6. So the first point, we are clear. First point is principle number 2. Safe and sustainable products, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the first option, principle number 2, it's only in option number B and option number D. Correct? So A and C are eliminated already. If you do elimination process, A and D, C are eliminated. Now we need to discuss B and D. Okay. So what else we are sure of? 2. Okay. Second is, we know it is principle number 6, which is environment. So yes, 2 is in principle number 6, which is in option D, not in option B. Yes, so the correct answer is, sorry?
Yes, sir. 4 also we are sure that's principle number 6, and 2 also principle number 6.
Correct. So the correct option is option D. Okay.
Yes, sir. According to me, I am not able to identify point number 1, but second and 4 is very clear on 6.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, but see, you never know, only the first option can be asked. So you should know every option you should have, I mean to say every point you should know which principle has to be classified.
Yes.
Okay. Here you can do some kind of, because you have options, you can do some kind of odd one out elimination process. Okay. But if they ask you directly without giving this, they tell you, just tell me under which principle this has to be reported. No options, right?
Yes, we have to write it.
You have to write principle number without any elimination process. So
yeah, if it is a 4-mark questions, write each principles for each options, then we have to write it.
Correct. Okay. So the option here, you have something to play with, so you are doing it. Okay. But what the request or the requirement is, you go through all the principles once again and the questions there in every principle, and try to do overlapping as many as possible and do mistakes before exam itself. Okay. so that the mistakes you will avoid in exam hall. So the answer is D in this case. So question number 4, we'll see. So details of employee engagement surveys conducted during the year to assess workplace satisfaction, work-life balance, mental well-being, key actions. Which principle?
Well-being is 3.
3, correct. Grievance redressal, including resolved and pending. Number of complaints, employees and workers. It is also 3. Number 3, structured dialogue sessions conducted with employees, representatives, worker unions to understand expectations related to career progression and workplace policies.
This is 5.
Workplace politics. Yes. Okay. Information relating to why can't it be 4? Why can't it be 4?
Sir, 4, okay. 4 also, it's talk about respect for stakeholders' interest. Sir, for employee itself, there is a specific union is there. There is a redressal mechanism is there under the principle number 5 itself.
No. Under principle number 5. Okay. So you let us see the options. So principle number 3 and principle number 4. They are not going to principle number 5. Okay. The limit is okay. Cut down to 3 and 4. So what is the right answer?
Then it will be 4 only.
Yeah. So no, again you need to see stakeholder groups. One of the stakeholder group is employees. Okay.
Yes. Employee, customer, suppliers, value chain.
Yes. Okay. So what is the right answer? We know first is 3. Okay. We know second is also 3. Correct?
Yes, sir.
And we know third is 4. Principle number 4. Okay. So the correct answer is A. Right? A. Answer is A. Next. Here you need to see. So here the overlapping between 4 and 8. What is 4? Stakeholder group. What is 8?
Sir, 8 is promote inclusive growth and equitable
growth. Correct. So details of stakeholder engagement exercise conducted with local communities to identify social and economic concerns arising from the company's project activities. So where you will classify this? Company's project activities.
Local communities and identify social economic concern. It is principle 8.
Principle 8. So first is principle 8. Where it is?
Item number C is there.
Yeah, C. Item number C. Okay. Next, second. Grievance redressal mechanism established for local communities affected by project execution, including number of grievances addressed during the year.
Local communities affected project execution. This is also 8.
So next, information on skill development and livelihood enhancement programs implemented for local youth in nearby villages.
This is also 8 only, sir.
Yes. Okay. So amounts spent on healthcare, education, basic infrastructure facilities in project affected areas as part of community development initiatives.
All 8 only, sir.
Yes. So the answer is C, which is 1, 2, 3, and 4 under principle number 8. Okay. So you also brushed up your knowledge. Okay. You also recall what we have done. So let us quickly go back to the presentation. So there were certain questions with regard to, again, principles, all these things. For time being, I'm skipping this. So assurance in BRS, sir. So as we discussed, once we know what are the items need to be filled, so what kind of if I want to give an assurance, how can I give assurance? Similar to auditing standards, you have standards on sustainability assurance engagement, SSAE 3000, and ICAI also issued SAE 3410 for greenhouse gas statements. Okay. So it was voluntary basis for 31st March 23 and it became mandatory from 31st March 24. Today it is all mandatory. So methodology to provide an assurance. How do I do? So management prepared BRSR report with section A, section B, section C. 140 questions have been updated and gave that report to me. So first I'll do preliminary review report. Once I do preliminary review, I understand whether I need expert or not. Then I will visit on-site. So why do I visit on-site? Let us say there are emissions. So I'll check meters. I'll check. So I will do inspection. In a way, I want to do inspection. I want to do verification of documents. You talk about labor. Okay. You talk about complaints. There are registers maintained in factories. Okay. So I need to do on-site assessment. I need to do verification of ESG report. Every element along with me, I'll take expert also. Okay. So I need to do field visit. Second is field visit. First is preliminary review. I'll go through the document sitting in my office. Second is I do field visit. After field visit, I'll find out some issues. So what you have reported is more, what you have reported is less, what you have reported is wrong, what has to be reported is not reported at all. So I'll find some issues. I'll prepare my draft report and give it to them. And I'll collect responses, right? Once I collect responses, I'll ask clarifications. Why you have reported more? They tell, no, this is what you need to consider. This is what you need to there. Okay, we'll rectify it. Okay, they'll give some explanation. They'll give some documentation. They'll give some metrics. Okay, once you do all these responses, then you'll submit your findings. Once you give findings, if they rectify it, fine, you will issue clean report. If they don't rectify it, you will give qualified opinion. Like these are the things where you have reported it wrongly. Okay. So finally, you prepare a verification report, including final results of assessment and recommendation. So the stages is clear. First, you receive the document. You do preliminary review to understand how much team you need, planning how much you need to do, experts is needed or not needed. Okay. So all those things you will plan in preliminary review. Then you go for field visit. Then you will get some observations, audit issues, share with them, discuss with them, obtain responses, do some debate, do some sort some clarifications, sort some documentation, finalize things, and finally give a report on assurance. This is with regard to assurance on BRSR. Now, this is what is about while you are performing audit and financial statements, what aspects you need to look at climate related risks. So how can I do that? We have multiple aspects like key audit matters, like emphasis of matter paragraph, where we don't want to modify the opinion, but we want to tell management, we want to tell readers of financial statements that, see, this is where company has given information. Kindly read these notes. Kindly read these sections. Or so you take key audit matters, you take emphasis of matter paragraph, or you report in other information. So these are the places where you can consider reviewing climate related risks while you are performing audit of financial statements. So the next two slides, this and this, is talking about where you can include in emphasis of matter paragraph. You can include in matters which need more significance, key audit matter paragraph. You can include in other information. So SS 705, SS 701, SS 720, where you can take this standard as basis and review climate related risks, review ESG related parameters while you are performing audit of financial statements. Clear? So, yeah, with this, we end this session. If anyone has any doubts, please let me know.
Sir, like we in the general financial framework, we provide the auditor report, independent auditor reports.
Yes.
Likewise, the BRSR, where the auditor report will be provided, sir?
Yes, good question, good question. Just a minute. So you already know the standard where we present. So we will take HUL as an example. You can see my PDF, right?
Yes, sir.
So you see here, the first section, before you go to discuss principles. So you have independent practitioner, reasonable and limited assurance report, right? So section
Okay.
A, section B, section C.
Before
Okay.
that. Okay.
Before that itself, you provide your report. Okay. So now what is this report? Let us quickly have. Okay. So they gave both reasonable assurance and limited assurance. Okay. So there are aspects where reasonable assurance was given. There are aspects where limited assurance was given. Again, what are those? Which are those? That has been detailed out here. So same like your regular report. First title, independent practitioner, reasonable and limited assurance report. To users, to the board of directors of Hindustan Union Limited. Assurance report on select sustainability disclosure annual report, reasonable assurance. So you have criteria, right? So SEBI LODR, GHC protocol, okay. All these are your criteria, and where you are giving reasonable assurance, what is the period you are covering, which attributes you are covering. So for reasonable assurance, you refer Appendix A. For limited assurance, you refer Appendix B. We'll see that. What period you are covering. Similar to your SS 700. Okay. So you give opinion first. Opinion, reasonable assurance opinion, limited assurance opinion. Basis for opinion and conclusion. Other information. Other matters. Intended use for purpose. Why you are issuing. Management responsibilities. Inherent limitations. Practitioner responsibilities, like we give auditor responsibilities there. Okay. Additionally, you give exclusions here. So that is how you end up with the report. So where you have given reasonable assurance. So when we go to section C, principle number 1, question number 8, number of days of account people, you are giving reasonable assurance. So you are referring to specific questions in BRSR report where you have given reasonable assurance. And you are referring to specific questions in section A, section C, where you have given limited assurance. Okay. So this is how you give the report in case of BRSR.
Okay. Whenever the auditor provides the reasonable assurance, he should have obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidence.
Correct. And it is high level of assurance.
High level assurance.
Limited assurance is a negative assurance where you say nothing comes to his attention which is having a misstatement, right? So that's how the report has been classified. Okay. If adequate information is available for all matters, probably the report would be completely reasonable assurance. Okay. So the user also need to understand what is reasonable assurance, what is limited assurance. Correct? Clear? Yeah, good question. Good question. So this is one part which we are supposed to cover because of assurance part. We also seen the theoretical part and we have also seen practical part. Good question. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Probably ma'am is away, I think. So yes, if you have, so I'll take ma'am's role here for today. So any kind of feedback to improve the sessions, please do provide your feedback, right? Thank you very much. Thank you. Good night. Technical team, you can close the session.
Thank you, sir.
Over. Session is over.
Good night.
Good night.